Sandra, do you have the green pointer?
I got mine. I got mine.
Oh. Oh, I took some medicine, so hopefully it'll be all right. No, I'm good. I've got mine. Yeah, thank you. I know she's concerned about my cough. Hope I don't have a coughing attack. We're waiting for Mr. Henry.
I can mute her.
He was here just a minute ago, so. Oh, the chief took him? Okay. We're waiting for Attorney Henry. I apologize for not starting on time. Thank you for your patience. Okay, thank you, Mr. Henry. Okay, good evening and welcome. I'm Mayor Chris Riley, and before I open the continuation of the 312 hearing begun on July 2nd, 2019, I would like to thank our Mayor Emeritus, Irene Baldridge, for her words of wisdom she shared with us on July 19th during the 312 hearing. She said, quote, "In my view, we need to work on putting our thoughts..."
Mayor, I'm sorry, point of order.
I'm going to go forth with this, Ms. Alcacer, because this is before the 312 hearing. I haven't opened it up. So these are just some comments that I have.
I'd like to begin the hearing. Is this appropriate, Mr. Henry?
Your agenda doesn't necessarily list it for something other than that for the 312 hearing, but she's opened the meeting. She hasn't called the hearing yet. I don't believe it's really appropriate, but it would really take a motion in order to prevent it.
Okay.
It's up to you if you're going to recap it. The thing is, this type of stuff can be discussed once you get into deliberation. There is an appropriate time or point for it because it can be deliberated and discussed amongst the whole council. So it's up to you guys if you want to allow her to talk about it now and then rebut it during deliberation or hold it for deliberation time period and purposes.
I make a motion that it be held for deliberation purposes.
I'll second.
Of course.
I would like to make a comment also. Again, the bias of the council is showing against the mayor. You continue to try and prevent the mayor from speaking. She is the figurehead of the city. She is the leader. She hasn't opened the meeting yet. She hasn't opened the hearing. She would like to say some comments about the city of Leon Valley and about this process. And you continue to try to silence the mayor. It's happened, I don't know how many times by both of you, mostly by Ms. Alcacer, at least 6 times.
Okay. Well, we already know it's going to pass, so by a motion by Ms. Alcacer and a second by Ms. Charles to deny my ability to speak before the 312 hearing, and it was only to get words of wisdom from Mayor Baldridge. And those of you that were here last meeting, she put us on the right track, and I wanted to remind us of that. But unfortunately, my 2 counselors to my left and my right are denying me that right. So all those in favor of denying the mayor the right to speak, say aye.
Aye.
I am in favor of the motion only.
Excuse me, we have not called the meeting to
know.
order, so how can we take a motion if we have not called the meeting to order?
She's opened the meeting.
I just said
part.
good
She hasn't
evening. I did
talked
not
to
open
public
the.
hearing.
I did not open the hearing.
Did not
That's why I
open the hearing.
purposely didn't open the hearing so I could read my comments tonight.
Well, Mayor, if we've got a quorum. If you have a quorum, you talk about what's on the agenda. If it's not on the agenda, you can't talk about it. If it's, what's on the agenda is the 312 hearing. So you can't say, well, we're not going to talk about it yet. That becomes a Open Meetings Act violation if you're trying to talk about something without saying we're opening the meeting yet. So if you start the meeting to deliberate with a quorum, to give statements regarding a quorum, then you're allowed to do that, and you're allowed to take votes on it.
We've got the motion and the second. It was Ms. Pasley who asked how we could do it. So, I mean, you're saying you can do
Procedurally,
it,
it's
so
allowed.
go ahead. So those in favor of not allowing me to make a statement before the 312 hearing opens, all those in favor say aye.
My motion was, I reiterate, and this is what I'm supporting, to exactly what Mr. Henry said, whatever you have to say or read can be done during deliberation, and it doesn't allow for the prerogative of the chair to say whatever is needed prior to that time. That was what my motion is, to wait for your comments until deliberation, and I agree with that motion.
Okay, Ms. Pasley, please take a roll call vote.
Counselor Charles,
Yes.
Counselor Alcacer,
Yes.
and Counselor Bradshaw.
No, I would like to hear what the mayor has to say.
Okay. It'll have to be deferred to another date. So, with that said, where's my agenda? I don't have an agenda, Ms. Pasley, unfortunately. I don't know where it is. Now, all this paper, the 400 pages that we've received, thank you. I do appreciate it. At approximately 5:40, I'll call this motion to order, and there is a quorum present. I do not need to read the investigation of the 312 hearings in process as per the protocol. So we are in the middle of it. This is our 5th day for hearing. We've met on July 2nd, July 3rd, July 18th, and July 19th, and this is August the 8th, 3 weeks later. And Mr. Martinez, I believe, let me just look at, I need to do the guidelines. Let me do that first. Let me read the guidelines. To please be civil to one another. Please do not be disruptive. And if someone becomes disruptive, Mr. Chief Salcedo, if you'll let me know, then I will call them down, if you don't mind. I'd appreciate that. And having a conversation with your neighbor is fine. Just step outside and do it in the hallway, please. No one speaks without being first recognized by the chair. Please raise your hand. I know, Ms. Charles, sometimes I don't see you over there, so if you'll wave, and Ms. Alcacer, if you'll do the same, as well as Mr. Bradshaw, I'd appreciate that. Please do not interrupt the speaker. Let them finish, and then raise your hand to be recognized to speak. And all counselors will be given time to ask the questions that they want. There's no time limit set for the speaking in the ordinance. And please turn off your cell phones. And all witnesses will be sworn in by the city secretary. Citizens to be heard. No public comment shall be allowed unless agreed to by a majority vote of the members of city council present. Rules for public comment will be set by city council. We will take a break after about 2.5 hours, and I would prefer that we not go back. We had already a meeting on Tuesday that went till after 10, and so I'd like to try to end right before 10, if not a little bit before, depending upon where we're at in the testimony. Okay, so what we've done is we've heard from the complainants, and we are now hearing from the respondent, Mr. Martinez. And Mr. Martinez, you started on July 19th, and I'm not really sure. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted you to know Kelly is live streaming or FaceTimed in or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see her on the, okay, very good. Thank you. Ms. Kinsler is available by Skype. Yes, sir.
I'd also like to make a motion, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Due to the new Texas law that was passed recently in the last legislative session, that in all open meetings, they must allow citizens to be heard. And that law is effective September 1st, which is about 3 weeks from now. But I would like to make a motion that we allow citizens to be heard during this hearing.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, it dies for a lack of a second. I think this is about the third or fourth time. So we cannot vote on it because we don't have another second. So thank you, Mr. Bradshaw, for making that. I know you want to hear from the citizens, and so do I. All right, so Mr. Martinez, I can't remember exactly where you were 3 weeks ago, but if you will certainly begin your presentation, and thank you.
Mayor, City Council, citizens of Leon Valley, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support I have received from all over San Antonio. Nobody can believe that this is happening to me. People are shocked that know me personally. They cannot believe these malicious, slanderous allegations against me. I'm going to start with a recap. Since it's been, this is going to be a fast recap since it's been almost 3 weeks since the last hearing date. I am a victim of false and malicious lies. This is the darkest point of my life. My constitutional rights have been violated. I was simply advocating for the constituents of Leon Valley. I have never sexually harassed, assaulted, or abused anyone. I have never ordered, demanded, or given orders to staff. I am the victim of this political hatchet job. This entire hearing is a violation of my due process rights by creating a constitutionally intolerable appearance of partiality. And you can reference the state law, or this court hearing, Hart versus the City of Lone Star, Texas, et al. Due process in some kind of hearing by Judge Henry Friendly, and this is used at the Supreme Court even, that a hearing has to have an unbiased tribunal. And of course, Mr. Henry and Monica and Counselor Charles are not unbiased. The right to know and inspect the opposing evidence. There's been evidence given that I haven't received. Mr. Henry made a nice showing of giving a document to everybody, then going around and ripping a page out of the mayor's that was never provided to me. That is a violation of this 312 hearing. The right to cross-examine adverse witnesses. I can't cross-examine a witness. And the opportunity to be represented by counsel. Legally, I should be able to sit there and not say a word and have an attorney present this whole case for me. I am not given that opportunity. And there is no possibility of an unbiased tribunal. You know, this is a little bit dated now, but back in April, the billing statements from Ryan Henry show that at least 96 minutes of discussion between Monica Alcazar and Mr. Henry. If Mr. Henry is going to be an unbiased person, why is a juror talking to him? Why is 162 minutes of discussion between Catherine Rodriguez and Mr. Henry? And there's been 0 minutes discussion between Will Bradshaw and Mr. Henry. Isn't that kind of strange? No cross-examination of adverse witnesses allowed in this kangaroo court. I'm not allowed to have counsel represent me, and not allowed to know and inspect all opposing evidence. This hearing violates my First, Fifth, and 14th Amendment rights. Ryan Henry does not meet the qualifications of the designated officer, was not employed by a majority vote of those members entitled to deliberate and vote, is currently employed by the City Conflict Council, did have active representation in the city, retained by the city manager for the TRO hearing. Councilors Alcazar and Charles have proven they are not unbiased. And I suggested all along that this needs to be moved to a district court. The designated officer, and this is right from the 312 procedures that Attorney Ryan Henry crafted. The designated officer shall be an attorney or law firm which is not employed by the city and does not have any active representation of the city in order to promote neutrality in the process and a disinterested investigator. If you remember back in the last hearing, I showed the video, the Pink Panther video, that it shows how biased Mr. Henry is. Real fast, Ivana Kuna, I've had an opportunity to read the report submitted, and I have found several errors. Page 4, item C, I do not recall saying Mr. Martinez kept undressing me with his eyes. Ryan Henry, no, you in fact did not make that exact statement. Bottom of the first paragraph, the statement is that I was wearing a snug shirt, and that is not true. I never wear snug shirts, so I would not have said that. Ryan Henry, I apologize if I interpreted your statements incorrectly. The wording in paragraph is not true representative of the manner which I speak. Ryan Henry, this is correct for most of the factual reports and interviews. Attorney Ryan Henry's report included fabricated and embellished statements. Why does Ryan Henry's report include several inaccurate statements? Catherine Rodriguez. Her original complaint to the city manager, which should have gone to the mayor and not the city manager, had 3 original complaints in it. National Night Out, that she asked if I cared to take a bath. And then on November 20th at the city council meeting, said I was stroking her hand when I shook her hand. And on December 3rd at the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, she claims that I stood too close to her backside. Now, after talking with Mr. Henry, these complaints kind of grew and morphed into 11 complaints. Why is that? Was she coached? Was she told that her original 3 complaints didn't have any merit? So let's change them around. National Night Out. Asked to take a bath with me. I never said with me. Shaking people's hands. I am probably the only city council member that routinely goes out in the audience and shakes people's hands and welcomes them to the council meeting, and we have a little discussion. And a lot of times, I'll shake hands with both hands. It's a warm, friendly way of greeting somebody. Christmas tree lighting ceremony. It went from standing too close to sticking my crotch in her backside. Too many lunch invitations. This is a big fabrication. I called her one time when she got elected, and I believe it was the next night. She didn't answer her phone. I left a message on her voicemail. Hey, congratulations, Catherine, for winning your election. Maybe in the future we can get together for lunch and discuss the city. Lunch is supposed to be a non-threatening way to meet somebody. Treating her in a sexually suggestive manner. I have no earthly idea what she's talking about. Invading her personal space, getting 1.5 feet from her. And I don't, subtle innuendos, different voice inflections. Now this is a really good one. Undressing me with his eyes. Is she psychic? Can she read my mind? And then touching her whenever I can control the scene. Now, I typically come to city council meeting about 10 to 15 minutes before this council meeting starts. And like I said, I go out in the audience and welcome people, shake their hands, and talk with them. I have never, ever sat down with Councilor Rodriguez and had a one-on-one conversation. Other than what I've heard, I don't know anything about the lady. I have never had a conversation with her. My wife is here at every city council meeting. If I was doing some of the things that she's claiming, I guarantee my wife would definitely hurt me. My wife is a very old-fashioned country girl, and she would not put up with anything like that. And destroyed a previous friendship with my wife, Pat. My wife doesn't know her. They have never had a friendship. Now, here's the wash tub. Now, I admit, I probably made a statement, this is a nice place to take a bath. I'm more than likely, look at that. This place is a very high-class dog grooming boarding facility. We are really proud and really fortunate to have this kind of business in Leon Valley. I just made a statement, hey, this is a nice place to take a bath. I never said with her, I never meant with anybody, it's a nice place to take a bath for dogs. Here's a Christmas picture. I'm not going to go into this. We've already discussed this. Look at my feet. Between pictures 1 and 2, I never moved. Now, how could I possibly, in 4 seconds, thrust my crotch in her backside? If you really want to get technical, look how close she is to Santa. And if you really, really want to get picky, look how close her right hand is to my crotch. Brandon, unfortunately, during the last hearing, I got off track towards the end, so I want to just recap some of the stuff that I missed. And I'm just going to briefly go through what I missed. Here is the agenda from the city council meeting where we were discussing St. John's Church. Here is a motion that states a motion was made by Council Member Monica Alcazar to include an expanded for the zoning issue at 6800 Evers Road, to include all of Pavona Place. I'm not going to continue it, but it was Monica made the motion, and you can read on the bottom that all of us passed. This was a city council directive towards Brandon Milland to do an expanded notice for St. John's Church. Pastor Price made an excellent presentation, and if you haven't heard it, you go back to the first night of my hearing. I believe that was on the 18th. Towards the end of the presentation, Pastor Price came out, and he had an excellent presentation regarding the problems and major issues the church has had in dealing with Brandon Milland. He described in detail how Brandon changes his mind, does not give a definite answer, and the church has spent over $70,000 trying to get the zoning set up so they can build their church. The allegation is that I directly interfered with staff's ability to issue permits relating to a special use permit involving George Morehouse certificate of occupancy. Per Chapter 3.09c, making inquiry to Kelly Kinsler related to a complaint received from Bobby Anderson. This is called constituent services. This is what I was elected to do. I held a meeting with the city manager, Kelly Kinsler, Mayor Riley, Brandon Milland, Xavier was there, and also the police chief. And I have no idea why the police chief was in this meeting. Maybe to back up Kelly Kinsler. But isn't that, when a problem arises, isn't that a good way to try to resolve it, is to call a special meeting? So if I did that, how is that a violation of our charter? I was doing what I was elected to do. Directly interfering with staff's ability to issue permits relating to a special use permit involving George Morehouse. A complete contradiction between what Brandon stated during the meeting and what Bobby Anderson and Mr. Morehouse stated. Mr. Morehouse was upset because he had to wait an additional 45 to 60 days to open his business. According to Mr. Morehouse and Bobby Anderson, Brandon originally told him there would be no need for an SUP, special use permit. Again, what was I doing? I had a constituent business come to me and ask me for help, and I brought it forward to the city manager and the mayor. I did my job. You know, in everything I've done with Brandon, all I've done is made recommendations and suggestions. I have never said, I command you, you must do this, you shall do this. I advocate for the constituents of the city, including businesses. Isn't that why that's why I was elected? Isn't that why I got reelected this almost a year and a half ago? People like that I advocate and I speak up for the citizens of Leon Valley. Here is a don't worry. Okay. Okay. I had a meeting, and Kelly walked me down to community development when I had an issue with a couple zoning cases. Kelly walked me down to community development, and I had a discussion with Nina at the time. And I did review the information from the aquarium and had a good handle of the issues. I still believe they are a destination for Leon Valley, and the city should do everything it can to help them grow and become a very highly featured attraction to our city. We all complain Leon Valley is a drive-through community. We have something that can attract people from all over the world. We need to do everything we can to encourage them. Again, Kelly walked me down to Community Development Department to discuss my concerns, then left. I asked Nina if they checked applicants' paperwork when they dropped it off. I was told no. They just accept the paperwork and pass it through to the review committee. I mentioned in the past our old community development director, Christy Flores, would review the paperwork and look for red flags and assist the applicant. People don't know our laws. They don't know our ordinances. And if we could help them, and we have a good understanding of what the applicant is trying to do, we can guide them. And the community development department should be able to recommend approval instead of constantly recommending denial. We need to help new businesses coming in. Directly giving staff instructions to staff to be business friendly as noted in Martina's email dated February 12th. I at no time gave her an order that she must do anything. In fact, the next morning, I did call Kelly Kinsler and informed her of my conversation. All of my conversations with Nina and Felicia are recommendations and suggestions and inquiring into their process. By the way, Nina quit to take a better paying job for Kelly. Where is making a suggestion a charter violation? This is noise to increase the charges against me. Directly interfering with staff by demanding that they administratively approve permits to be business friendly as noted by former employee Nixon Mendez. This is a continuation of the last issue and is noise to make the allegations against me seem larger than they are. Community Development was recommending denial of zoning changes. During my meeting with Kelly Kinsler, she walked me down to talk to Nina. I mentioned and followed up with an email dated February 12, 2018. If staff were helping customers, businesses, then staff would recommend passage of the requests, not denial. Staff recommending denying application is not being business friendly. Assisting the applicant with their application, verifying the form is filled out properly, and they have also supporting documentation is being business friendly. I never told Nina that she must, she shall, she has to do anything. Intentionally undercutting Milan's authority in public in order to disrupt the Community Development Department, including passing notes to Monica Alcazar when Brandon is speaking to create intentional distraction. Are you going to have to hit the button?
On December the 18th, we will take this up again and vote on it. And I'm sure it'll pass.
Thank you. You'll have a good evening.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for coming. And nice to meet Mrs. Obasi as well. You bet. All right. Then moving then 5. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council granting a specific use permit for a kennel at Lot 69, Glass Service Subdivision, Leon Valley, Bexar County, Texas, as requested by applicant Sylvia Smith, generally located on the south side of Post Road, approximately 900 feet west of Bandera Road, providing for repealer, severability clause, and savings clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. And Mr. Milan, if you'll continue.
Yeah, thank you again, Mayor and Council. This is our last specific use permit consideration for the evening. This is a request for a specific use permit for a kennel. It's 6746 Post Road. And I'll go ahead and jump over to the aerial here.
Okay.
You can see this is in the development that's just a little bit west of the existing daycare facility on the south side of Post Road. So that the applicants are looking to occupy this facility and operate a boarding facility. And so, according to our code doesn't distinguish between boarding or kenneling. It's defined as a kennel facility. So that's why they have to receive the specific use permit before they can begin operations.
Mm-hmm.
As always, we look at surrounding land uses. We look at our comprehensive master plan, and so in looking at the area, and looking at our comprehensive master plan, Our comprehensive master plan states that, we're seeking to develop retail within 200-foot buffer of Vandare Road. So this property is just a little bit outside of that area. And we looked at our future land use plan earlier. You can see this area is indicated in the future land use plan as commercial. And so generally, a kennel is a use that staff finds is generally compatible with heavier commercial uses. And it's currently zoned B3 for commercial uses. So in terms of zoning and the comprehensive master plan, staff doesn't have any issues with this request and thinks that, such a use as this is generally compatible with the.
How flustered was Brandon Milland in that video? He never staggered or was stopped speaking or flustered. So where is this complaint come from? Was it fabricated? Brandon states that I leaned and whispered something to Councilwoman Alcazar, then passed a message to her. This distracted him. As he saw in the video, Monica actually passed me the note, and the other people on the dais were not paying attention. This meeting shows Brandon Milland was ill-prepared and is trying to blame me for distracting him. This allegation contains no charter violation, no policy violations, and no wrongdoing in the event that it was true. These are not true. Ordered Milland to amend his design manual to include language Martinez wanted in the manual. On September 11th, Brandon Milland emailed me a copy of the proposed small cell site design manual. This was not an order. I never ordered, commanded, you must. My communications were recommendations and suggestions related to an item that was subsequently approved by City Council. I originally wanted the text for other FCC licensed services, but it got changed to amateur radio frequencies. I responded to Brandon, not good. It should include all FCC licensed services. Brandon replied back to me, thanks for the feedback. I need to run that addition past our attorney first. We won't have time to coordinate that before the agenda packet goes out to you and the rest of the council, but we will certainly have a legal review determination in time for Tuesday's meeting, provided there aren't any issues. I will introduce this additional revision at the meeting for potential incorporation into the final approval. On September 18th, City Council meeting, this item was brought to the City Council to discuss how Leon Valley should regulate 5G cell sites. CPS Energy had several presentations around town. I attended some of them. And here's a video of the September 18th meeting clip where Brandon Milland is discussing the design manual. Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing an amendment to the City of Leon Valley Wireless Services Small Cells Design Manual, removing the requirement to submit a commercial building permit, inserting provisions regulating interference between facilities of different providers, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
All right. Welcome back.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council.
Yes, Mr. Milland. We did have an issue with the interference. Did we get that all cleared up from
yes,
the last?
Councilor Martinez raised some discrepancies between our existing code and our design manual. So definitely we looked at that and looked at incorporating all the provisions in the code and making sure they're repeated in the design manual. Councilor Martinez also reached out with some additional questions regarding applying additional applicability towards those non-interference regulations regarding FCC. And so they raised good questions, and so we consulted our legal staff, and it's always good to make sure they review any changes that we make and ongoing review of those ordinances. They did notice a few things, and so we thought it was a good measure to have them take a look a little more comprehensively at our small cell ordinance as well as our design manual before we go through and finalize the changes. So that's exactly what we've done. We've reached out to them. We do, of course, that means we need a little bit more time on that. And so they are currently looking at that, and we anticipate being able to finalize and make sure everything is perfect with our ordinance and with our design manual. So based on that, they're looking at it right now. So our staff recommendation is to table this item further until the next meeting, until we're able to comprehensively look and bring that before
Very
the
good. I
council.
appreciate that. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
I did go to the CPS small cell site conference, and I did bring up the interference question, and some of the other cities chimed in and said, hey, why isn't that in our ordinance? Or, you know, they were receptive to it. And basically, CPS's take was it's already covered under FCC law, but you can put it in your ordinance. The big difference, and they even mentioned it, is if you let the FCC handle it, it could take 2 and 3 years for them to handle the interference problem. If it's brought in your ordinance, boom, you can cut them off instantly. And the reason, one of the things I gave is, okay, if you had one of these cell sites at next to a hospital, and the transmitter went bad, it could affect the whole radio system for that hospital. And could you really run your hospital for 2 or 3 years while the FCC does their investigation?
Well, all right. Well, thank you for that. All right. So your recommendation then is to table this ordinance 7.6 to a date certain, which would be our next council meeting, which would be October 1st.
October 2nd, I believe.
Well,
First,
we've
okay.
moved it, because
That's
of
right.
National Night
Thank
Out.
you.
Yes, I mean,
Sorry.
it's just, Okay, so.
I so move.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Jordan to table ordinance number 7.6 to October 1st, 2018.
I was just using my knowledge of radio to help eliminate a potential problem. I think a lot of you know that I am an amateur radio operator, and I've played and used radios since I was in high school. And I know what interference can cause and what harmful interference can cause a radio system. And I was just trying to be a little bit proactive in trying to eliminate a possible future problem. In our ordinance, Denise Frederick changed my request and only referenced amateur radio frequencies. That's okay, because there's police band and the fire, a lot of ambulance companies and stuff are right next to it, so if it's going to affect one, it's going to affect the other services. And I view this item as unfounded noise generated to inflate the bogus charges against me. In conclusion to Brandon Milan's complaints, I feel I have proved I have not done anything that violated the charter, except for the purposes of inquiry and investigations. The City Council and its members shall deal with city staff solely through the city manager. And all I've ever done is inquiry and investigation. I have never demanded staff, you shall, you must, you have to. That is giving orders. As your elected official, I was doing what I was elected to do. that I interfered with, gave orders or undermined the authority of Denise Frederick without going through the city manager in relation to the public right-of-way definitions as well as the RLUIPA issues. And I'll get into what that means here in a second. First and foremost, all of my emails are sent to the city manager, Kelly Kinsler, and Mayor Riley are copied. So how could I possibly be in violation of the charter by following the proper procedures? You know, I have never given orders to Denise Frederick, but only expressed concerns, opinions, and beliefs of my constituents. I view this as one of my duties as an elected official for the citizens of Leon Valley. This responsibility includes my obligation to question new ordinances and not be a city manager rubber stamp. In Denise Frederick's testimony, she stated she was interrupted me on the dais for giving legal advice. Protocol states you should raise your hand and be recognized by the mayor in order to speak. I do not give legal advice. I do research and I state fact. On 3 occasions, Denise Frederick has interrupted me in public during a meeting, then after the meeting, in private, she'll come up to me and apologize, stating that I was correct. Last year, we held an illegal city council workshop. When the meeting opened, I mentioned this meeting was an illegal since it was not posted on the internet. Denise Frederick stated the meeting was legal and we did not have to post the meeting on the internet. Even though the Texas Open Meeting Act states if a city has a website, you have to post a notice on the bulletin board outside of City Hall and also on the internet. A couple months later, after a city council meeting, my wife and I were walking to our car. Denise Frederick came up and mentioned the workshop. She stated that we should have posted the meeting on the internet. She also stated, what are you going to do about it? Sue the city? We didn't take any action. It was more of an informational type workshop. So what did I have to sue the city for? During a special city council meeting, before going into executive session to discuss, hold on a second. That Martinez interfered with, gave orders to, or undermined the authority of Denise Frederick without going through the city manager in relation to the public right-of-way definitions as well as RLUIPA issues. Though a licensed attorney can give legal advice, there is a distinction between legal advice and legal information. Any person can recite legal information. Every person, including citizens and council members, are entitled to the ability to express their opinions and beliefs on city issues. Denise Frederick frequently gave her personal opinion to take on issues, including items in which no legal opinion is needed. I never violated any part of the city charter. But interfering with, undermining, is not against the charter, even if it was true. I did not ever give any orders to Denise such as, you must, I demand you. During the special city council meeting, or before we went into executive session, I requested the floor from the mayor, and I stated a fact. Mr. Yarnell, you have the right to have this matter discussed in open session. Denise Frederick jumped in stating, you cannot say that. You're giving legal advice. We argued for several minutes on the dais and continued into executive session. We agreed to disagree. I maintain stating a fact is not giving legal advice. I asked the TML attorneys at the next TML conference, as a city councilman, is it my right? I was informed as long as I stated fact, I was not giving legal advice. And signs on the public right-of-way. For years, and all of you that have lived here any time know that you could place garage sale signs in the corner. This was recently started being enforced and the police picking them up. Political signs have been placed at polling places for over 60 years. The police department started enhanced enforcement, which was met by great concerns from residents. I contacted the TML attorneys. Denise Frederick disagreed with their legal advice. Again, a lawyer, how many times, if you get two lawyers in a room, are you going to get two or are you going to get 5 different opinions? This also included the city removing or preventing signs advertising the senior trash and treasure sale. I attended the event and was bombarded with complaints by constituents. Again, I view this as my duty as your elected city council representative to provide constituent services. Previously, the city attorney was hired and worked for city council. Denise Frederick mentioned I question her findings of law. A lawyer can find case law supporting for and against any issue. Why do we have prosecuting attorneys and defense attorneys? It is my belief that with Denise Frederick working for the city manager, she cites laws supporting staff's wishes. I don't know what happened. With regard to the RLUIPA, that stands for Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. I was doing legal research in regard to St. John's Church. I sent an email through the city manager, Kelly Kinsler, copied Mayor Riley, Brandon Milland, and Denise Frederick. You heard from Pastor Price's testimony in my first night of presentation, and he went into great detail. On December 19th, when informed of the complaint filed by Frederick, Martinez responded with a complaint against Frederick stating she should not advise the city council unless asked a question. I have mentioned to Mayor Riley several times about Denise Frederick getting involved in open debate. She is not the 6th city council member. It is my belief that the city attorney should not be getting involved in council discussion unless specifically asked for her legal opinion. In my 5 years on the city council, our outside attorney would remain quiet and only respond if a direct question was asked of them. Now, where in the charter is this a violation of 3.09 CRD? Police Officer Joanne Azar. She complained that I publicly interfered with the city manager's authority and the authority of the police chief by challenging the decision to wand individual entering City Hall in front of other members of the public. This was not an order, was not a charter violation. I never said, I command you, you must. I submitted myself to the wanding, and I'm allowed to question policy implementation regarding things that are not approved by City Council, as the charter designates that City Council approves all policies. My First Amendment rights cannot be deprived of me simply because I am an elected official. The charges between Officer Azar and Officer Breton are the same. Per Mr. Henry's finding report dated March 15th, 2019, this item should not be brought forward. I feel this item violates my First Amendment right to freedom of speech. When I spoke up against wanding, I submitted to being wanded. Here is the exact words from Mr. Henry Ryan on his March 15th summation of his findings. Based on the information collected, I recommend 1, the complaint by Frederick against Profit and the complaints against Martinez by Frederick, Milland, Azar, Breton for hostile work environment not be submitted for a hearing or action. The complaint against Martinez by Rodriguez be submitted for a 312 hearing and possible action. The complaint against Martinez by Acuna not be submitted due to lack of frequency, severity, and number 4, the City Council hold a 312 hearing to consider possible 3.09 violations by Martinez for violating the city charter. The City Council is not bound by this recommendation and may choose to take no action at all or choose to act in all manners for a 312 hearing. Now, where in the charter is expressing my First Amendment rights a violation of 3.09 C or D? Basically, Officer Breton's complaint is the same thing. I never said, I command you, you must. I did submit myself to the wanding. And I am, again, there's nothing wrong with questioning. It's my First Amendment right. Now we start the fun. The police chief complaining about complaints and questionings regarding wanding policy at City Hall, not approved by City Council. This was not an order. It's not a charter violation. I never said, I command you, you must. And again, City Council is responsible for creating policy. After the complaints, the police, several months later, the police chief did properly come to council and request an ordinance authoring us to start wanding. I even supported this ordinance. That is the proper way to do things. You know, I did express my displeasure of having the increased security. I thought it was unnecessary. I never tried to avoid being wanted. Again, city council is responsible for creating policy. If the police chief wanted to have increased security, he should made a request to have the item placed on the council agenda. Police chief complained about illegally carrying a weapon into city council chamber. This is another example of defamation of my character by falsely alleging that I blatantly violated Texas state law. I did not ever carry a weapon in violation of Texas laws. There's nothing else to be said about this. Now, just one thing. If I did and he knew it, I guarantee I would have been arrested. Oh, this is a very, very good one. You're going to love this one. Police chief complained regarding that Mr. Martinez attempted to dismiss the ticket and reduce fees for impound. I received a Facebook message from Darren Chung. In the message, they complained about an incident in which a vehicle was towed because the driver did not have a driver's license, even though the vehicle was literally down the street from the house. I passed this message to Kelly Kinsler, city manager, via Facebook Messenger. Kelly Kinsler then took a screenshot of the message and acted as if it was my own writing, which it was not. This item, again, is noise to make the charges against me seem larger. This is a great example of our police chief greatly exaggerating the facts. In the police chief's statement, he made it sound like I had a secret second family that I was supporting, and I had to pay the $295 for towing the car. He is assuming that I am asking him to reduce the fees. I received a Facebook message from Darren Chung. I was providing constituent services. In his message, he informed me of an incident which his niece was driving without a license and speeding 25 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. This was close to his house. He questioned, is it strictly enforced to have to tow vehicles when the driver doesn't have a valid license? This is what the police chief showed in his testimony. Look at that. It is unfortunately, they are financially dependent on me currently, and I will have to pay the $295 to release when I could had the vehicle picked up within 5 minutes. That's what he made everybody believe. Do you think my wife would allow me to have a secret family to support? Now here's the truth. It starts on the left, and he has some misspellings on there. Congrats on your reflection. It should be re-election. I believe we spoke briefly on the next door about an incident of getting pulled over at Rimkus Park while taking my family to the park. I had saved your number but lost my other phone. Is it strictly enforced to have to tow a vehicle when a driver doesn't have a valid license? I live in Marshall Meadows, and the stop was made on the side of Marshall High School. It is my niece, and she lives with me as her mom, who is handicapped and limited in mobility, so she was forced to go get her medicine. I agree that the action is illegal, but to tow for 25 in a 20, and I have grandparents that two minutes away in Eckerd Crossing that she could have come to get the car to avoid being towed. Just curious your thoughts. Not saying it was right for her to drive without a license. Where did I do anything wrong? Kelly Kinsler sent an email to the police chief asking him to please draft an answer for me. By forwarding this inquiry to Kelly Kinsler, I was only providing constituent services. Where is forwarding a message from a resident of Leon Valley a violation of the charter? Do you see anywhere where I gave direction, ordered anyone to do anything? I don't. This is Pilgrim Cleaners, that I became involved in the investigation regarding Pilgrim Cleaners and Mr. Yarnell. Executive session ordering the chief to drop criminal charges. This complaint references a meeting held under executive session on October 1st, 2018. I did never violate the charter or give an order. I did not say, I command you or you must. I only made a recommendation, suggestions, inquiries, and investigations based on the requests of constituents I serve. The police chief had his department file several charges against Olin Yarnell. The main accusation was that he impersonating a city employee by going into Pilgrim's Cleaners and asking about a pole sign that had been damaged for several months. This comment was made while dropping off clothes. A short time later, a code enforcement officer went into Pilgrim's Cleaners and was told somebody else from the city just came in to discuss this. We held an executive session to discuss the charges against him. As a body, the city council determined that Olin Yarnell did nothing wrong and can continue as the chairman of the zoning commission. Mr. Yarnell did resign as the chairman of the zoning commission because he feared further attempts of intimidating him. Executive session in ordering to drop charges. This complaint is referencing an executive session held on October 1st, 2018. During this executive session, we were discussing Pilgrim's Cleaners being closed and Olin Yarnell's request to obtain police reports that he was unable to obtain in his open records request. I never ordered, demanded, or commanded the police chief to close his investigation and release the information. I was providing constituent services to a Leon Valley resident, Olin Yarnell. Later, a letter from Denise Fredericks to the Texas Attorney General on September 17th the city of Leon Valley sent Bexar County Criminal District Attorney's Office a correspondence dated February 2018. May 14th, from the emails we received, in the email from Jim Wheat, Chief Special Crimes, Bexar County Criminal District Attorney's Office, in the letter it states, I find no criminal violations to pursue and consider the matter closed. In the executive session in October, neither Kelly Kinsler or the police chief, Joe Savaggio, mentioned the email from Jim Wheat stating no crime had been committed. The important fact in the title of this claim, executive session. What is discussed in executive session is private and should not be divulged outside of executive session. The police chief and the city manager have both violated this. Could this be an ethics violation? Hold on 1 second while I take a drink. involving himself in making official statements in the Tribbles lawsuit, which undermines the city manager's authority to manage the litigation. Friendship has nothing to do with this allegation. I view this as another allegation of noise to cloud up this investigation. I received an email from a constituent, Gail Tribble. I asked if something can be done administratively since this storage shed had been there for over 25 years. I was told the previous city engineer, Pat Wright, came over, inspected the site, and told the Tribble it was okay to build the shed. When the case came up before the Board of Adjustment, I was in Kelly Kinsler's office. Someone came in and stated, the Tribble case will start shortly. Kelly Kinsler made a comment that, it's okay. This is just a Board of Adjustment hearing it. They're going to approve it anyway. It's just procedure. There were some irregularities in the BOA hearing. One of the commissioners had just been appointed and did not have any training. One trained commissioner was never notified of the meeting. What am I guilty of? Providing constituent services? Where did I demand the city grant them an SUP? I merely asked if something can be done to help the Tribbles. I was advocating for the Tribbles who had approached me with this issue a few months before. I never made any official statements. I have never undermined the city manager's authority, and I was only inquiring about the issue about the Tribbles storeroom. A private conversation to the police chief asking, what can we do about this, is not an order, is not an official statement. I am entitled to exercise my First Amendment rights for my constituents. Now, isn't this what I was elected to do? Where is this a charter violation? Questioning the police chief regarding property ownership and bandit signs along Bandera Road. I did not ever violate the charter or give an order. I have never said I command you or you must. I was simply posing inquiries related to bandit signs, and in particular, email Chief Salvaggio sent out. An email to the chief asking about property ownership is not an order. A council person should ask questions and pose inquiries, not be reprimanded for doing so. Where in the charter is this a violation? This we get into a fun discussion. And you heard the police chief talk about the police incident where he claimed that I invaded an active shooting incident. Now let's talk about the truth. The title is completely misleading. You know, listening to the police chief's description of the facts demonstrate that he should become a fiction writer. He is great at telling stories, true or not. There are two sides to every incident. This police incident reminds me of Keystone Cops episode on TV. The police chief told me that everything was done wrong and the police videos would be used in training to show what not to do in the future. I maintain if this was an active police incident, the police should have the area contained. Joe Salvaggio stated they had all four corners covered with with police cars and were watching the 4th. If this was a true statement, I should not have been able to walk from my house to the scene. Later, I found out the fire truck and the ambulance were staged at Seneca Plaza. One of the units could have been dispatched to drive down Handsome Lake, come up Red Jacket, turn onto Ruth Sophie, stop about halfway down the block, and contain the area. Wouldn't that be proper police procedures? On Saturday, July 29th, 2017, my wife held a garage sale. I was still recovering from invasive surgery I had on July 10th. Here's our garage sale permit. About 12 o'clock, one of our customers stated there was an accident on Seneca with a truck with its wheel missing. We could see a police car by the intersection from our house. Here's the part that's missing from the chief's testimony. Our house is down here. I walked down the sidewalk, and this is me. There were some people over here. There were 2 police officers over here. There was a police car. The car was a little more in the center. A car coming down Seneca, or Ruth Sophie, had to go around the police car and come this way. It wanted to turn this way, and the cop started yelling at him to turn around. This cop car was over here, and here's the truck with the wheel missing. I got about here. When I got close to the intersection, I was right about here. There was a black SUV parked right here. When I got close to the intersection of Ruth Sophie and Seneca, there was a black SUV parked on Ruth Sophie in front of the corner house. And this house is kind of diagonal like this. Across from Seneca, I noticed a police car parked partially blocking the intersection. There was a police car partially blocking the eastbound lane. A car tried to drive around the car, and then had to drive at an angle to try to make the turn into Seneca. There were a couple of people across the street on Seneca observing, and I believe one of them had a brown shirt, but I wouldn't swear to it. I noticed several police officers to my right by the group house. I saw 2 police officers to my left across the street from the garage. That's them over here. At this point, I'm just walking down the sidewalk. Like most people do, you're kind of daydreaming, kind of looking at, what's going on. You see people across the street, and, you're just taking a casual stroll to see what was going on, why this truck had caused our garage sale to end. As I walked by this SUV, I could have sworn I heard somebody yell, "Gun." I do have my license to carry. When you go to classes to get your, it used to be concealed carry, now it's a license to carry, they tell you, just because you're carrying a gun, do not play that you're Marshall Dillon or something. If you get involved in a situation, run. Get out of there. If you can't get out of there, hide. Find a door you can lock, find something you can crawl under, hide. And as a last resort, fight. I thought I heard somebody say gun, so I ran over here. And I was crouched down. I heard somebody yell, "Show me your hands," and I realized they were talking to me. Again, when I took my concealed carry license training, one of the things the instructor mentioned, hold your hands up like this. Spread your fingers. this will show to the police you've got nothing in your hand. That's what I did. And again, I was crouched down. I was on one knee, crouched down, and by this car here. And I was getting ready to bolt. What do they say? If you get involved in a situation, get out of there. That's what I was trying to do. Now, I finally realized that they were talking to me, and they were telling me to get down. When they came up to me, I was on my hands and knees, and again, I had my fingers spread. I felt somebody violently force me down. My face was forced to the pavement, leaving scratches on the right side of my face, a split lip, and both knees scratched. My sunglasses were broken. I remember vaguely hearing somebody like, "When I order you to lay flat, I mean it." This was yelled in anger. All the time, and if you remember, if you listened carefully, when I was being taken down, you heard me yelling, "I'm on city council, I'm on city council, I'm on city council." After being forcefully pushed down, the police realized that I was on city council. They pulled me up. Officer Bell walked me several feet down Rue Sophie, then left. Here's pictures of my knees. Here's pictures of my face. More pictures. The police officer walked me here, and I came over here to a tree and hid behind this tree while I was trying to recuperate. And a while later, SAPD came over here and parked a car over here, finally containing the situation. Other people from the area would come out to see what was going on, and the police would yell at them to go back in the house. My wife and a neighbor across the street could hear me yelling, and they witnessed the takedown. I texted the city manager to see what was going on. Her text came back after the incident. We watched as the police had the suspect in handcuffs and walk him across Rue Sophie. Shortly after, we saw Leon Valley Ambulance and Bannis towing. Police Chief Joe Savaggio's statement was that I was assisted to the ground. And he used that word. I was assisted to the ground. Assisting somebody is like helping an old lady walk across the street. That's assisting somebody. Or holding the door open for a handicapped person. That's assisting. Violently stomping your foot on somebody's back, is that assisting somebody? I was not assisted to the ground. I was violently forced to the ground by a foot to my back. After talking with the police chief, he apologized, stating, "I wish this was anybody besides you. You have always supported and helped the police department." One of the officers stated that I was handcuffed. I was never handcuffed. I was never placed under arrest. So how could I be charged with evading and resisting arrest? As you saw earlier, on May 14th, an email from Jim Wheat, the Chief of Special Crimes, Bexar County Criminal District Attorney's Office, he concluded that I find no criminal violation to pursue. As such, consider the matter closed. What's not told is the police chief, Joe Salvaggio, attempted to send this whole file to the Bexar County Criminal District Attorney's Office, looking to charge me criminally for what happened. Kelly Kinsler's response to me was that they had Bexar County review it, and the police did nothing wrong. Kind of a different perspective. I did something wrong, or the police did something wrong? So, you know, the police chief was attempting to criminally charge me for a crime that the DA's office said no criminal in nature. Now, where is this a violation of the charter? My wife believes that I should have sued the city for a violation of my rights and excessive police brutality. The police chief is consumed with politics and exerting his political opinion, frequently involving around Leon Valley politics. Personnel Manual, Section 2, Political Activities, may not engage in any political activity while wearing city uniforms or driving a city vehicle, may not use any city rank or title to assist any public official or candidate in any election. And Chief Salvaggio acknowledged receipt of the most recent version of the Personnel Manual on October 16th, 2018.
Excuse me, Mr. Martinez, and I'd like to have a consult with Attorney Henry, if we may,
Regarding what?
regarding the various things that are being presented here that are unrelated to what we're here for.
Is this an allegation?
These are allegations against me, Monica, and I'm just defending and I'm refuting direct testimony that the police chief gave.
There's no political agenda about the police chief, but anyway, there's this and a few other ones. I'd like to get the attorney's advice on it.
Okay, Ms. Charles. Mr. Bradshaw.
I think we should listen to the witness.
Okay, and you agree? All right, do we need to take a vote to go into executive session? We don't have an unanimous.
Yeah, then just, is that a motion to go into executive session in second?
Yes, a request. I didn't know we had.
Okay, we have to do a motion because we don't have a unanimous consensus.
Yes,
All right, you want to make a motion?
I so move.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Aug8 and a second by Ms. Charles to go into executive session to discuss the matter before us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The motion carries 2 ayes and 1 nay. So at 7 o'clock, we will move to executive session. I need to read that. I apologize. The council shall meet in executive session to discuss the following under the Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. So at approximately 7:01, we'll move to executive session. Thank you. Okay, if I could have everybody take their seat, please. Thank you. We are back from executive session at approximately 7:21 on Thursday, August the 8th, 2019. And I'm going to ask Mr. Henry to summarize
Well, Mayor,
the decision.
well, no decisions made in executive
Well,
session.
no
but
decision was made, but what you wanted to say to
Yeah,
the body.
We want to kind of speed this along, and we don't want to necessarily keep interrupting you, Mr. Martinez. So it was just kind of a forecasting to make sure we were all on the same page with regard to the testimony and the information you are presenting. It is appropriate. Obviously, you've been going point for point with the charges, which is, you're entitled to and is very good. You haven't really deviated from those aspects. For charges that may have been, or allegations that have been brought up that aren't the formalized written ones, but may have been raised by witnesses during these hearings, you are allowed to address. And just the same way, you are allowed to present information related to the charges that you believe would properly attack a particular witness's credibility. But there's a limitation on that. It has to be related to why the council should or shouldn't believe them with regard to the particular statements or testimony in the charge. And so bringing up matters, we want to make sure that this is not trying things or going into stuff for other people that isn't really the focus or subject matter of these hearings. But you are entitled to bring up the point, make the point, and then we ask that you move on. Does that make sense to you, sir?
This topic, if Monica wouldn't have interrupted me, I would have been done in about 2 minutes. It's that fast. I don't know why she wants to limit and
But Mr.
prevent me
Martinez,
from
do you
saying
have any
anything.
questions based on what Mr.
No.
Henry said?
No, I can
That's the
continue.
point.
From what I just understood, I can continue, and it's not going to take me very long to get through this.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
In February 2018, Police Chief Joe Salvaggio relocated Mayor Riley's and my political sign from Tina Chasen's yard up into her flower garden. This caused him to poke a hole in the underlying fabric. Tina had placed political signs at the same spot for over 40 years. Complaints were made about Mariana Sanchez's sign being illegally placed on the fence at the Valero station. Instead of removing the sign, the police chief talked with an employee and they agreed to have the sign remain. A few days later, Valero removed the sign. Is this plain politics? Is his job to ask permission for a sign to be left in place? During the same time, Mariana Sanchez had signs placed right next to the sidewalk in the Old Mill subdivision. This remained this way for close to 3 weeks. The signs were eventually moved. Crystal?
Okay, thank you. Chief, do you have a statement or what?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. If you'll begin, please. Thank you.
First and foremost, I've got some things that I want to, before I even begin my statement, to clear up some things that were said yesterday, some questions that were brought up today, most of them by Councilor Bradshaw.
Excuse me, can this be
So,
turned up a little
let
bit
me say
on
that,
the
on the
volume?
on the
Are y'all
comment
having
of witnesses
difficulty
being
hearing it?
turned
I
over
can't
yesterday,
hear it up here.
We didn't even know there were witnesses.
If we can pause it and,
Nobody's told anybody
because
there were.
it defeats the purpose. Thank you. Well, I mean, okay, thank you. Chief, do you have a statement or what?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. If you'll begin, please. Thank you.
First and foremost, I've got some things that I want to, before I even begin my statement, to clear up questions that were brought up today, most of them by Councilor Bradshaw. So let me say that on the comment of witnesses being turned away yesterday, we didn't even know there were witnesses. Nobody's told anybody there were witnesses. Once we were told, I offered Councilman Martinez's attorney to let the witnesses in, but we don't have a list to know who the witnesses are. She rudely stated the charter and procedures don't require her to do so. I ask you, as such, how can we let people in as witnesses if we don't know who they are and nobody wants to tell us? Did Councilman Martinez provide a list? No, he didn't. Did Councilman Bradshaw provide a list who was running interference for her? No, he didn't either. So, did we not let the witnesses in when you identified the issue, Councilor Bradshaw? We brought her in immediately.
Not immediately, no. She was out there. I went
And it
out.
was brought up to us. We brought her in immediately. We had no idea.
So unfortunately, we were reached
Madam Mayor.
as a witness.
Madam Mayor. I
You're a
think
witness?
pause for minute.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have
Crystal, if you'll
anybody?
please
Crystal, can you
pause
pause for a second?
Will.
This came up prior, and the council made a motion and voted not to really be addressing stuff that happened from the July time period forward because it wasn't directly related to the prior complaints.
That is
And
not
this is the same.
true. I was prevented from showing this at the first time I had an opportunity, and I was told, present it later on in my testimony. That's what I'm doing, and so don't change your mind in the middle of the freeway here. You said I could present this at a later time, and I'm just rebutting the police chief's statements. He said that he didn't prevent anybody from coming in. I'm going to show the video.
And how's that related to the complaint, one of the complaint charges? Did he bring something up where this is?
He brought it up in his testimony. So I'm rebutting his testimony.
I don't see this being related to the complaint. We also had a separate motion to
Okay, I think this
not
is the mayor's
discuss or
decision to
not
be
give
made.
up stuff from the July time period forward. Now, it's up to the council if you want to allow him to do it. You said it wasn't going to take very long, a couple of minutes.
Okay, I've already finished the political activities. I've already done that.
Mhm.
This is something. This is rebutting the police chief's statement when he made his presentation. That's all this is.
Just go to his credibility as a witness?
It could.
Uh,
That I'm not going to make that determination.
Since
That's
I-
up to you guys to
Second.
make that determination.
Mr.
All
Martinez.
right, Mr. Bradshaw.
Since actually the chief of police addressed me and told me that witnesses were let in immediately, and I know for a fact they were not let in immediately, and I believe that's what Mr. Martinez is trying to show here, is that they were not let in immediately, which goes to question the chief's credibility in his under oath statement.
Okay.
Yeah. It's up to you guys if that's what you want to allow.
The mayor is the head of the city council, and it should be her decision.
We've been taking votes on all of these decisions, as you know, Mr. Martinez, so do you want to take a vote
My
on this
question
one?
is, are you going to violate my civil rights some more?
We could have already watched it by now.
Yeah. Well, since nobody's
Okay, so
making a
I
motion to
think-
do
I think we-
anything.
I think we can
Please
go on.
proceed.
Yeah.
Proceed then.
Can we move it to where it was, Crystal? Yeah, let's do that, so, thank you. Yeah.
Do you have anybody that? Okay. Do you have any? You're a witness? Okay. Okay. Do you have anybody that's with you?
Will.
Will? Come with me. Witness? Witness. I'm not sure.
Apparently, only witnesses for the other side.
I don't know what that. Okay, I think.
There's a website that you can get on. You want to show them to the seats?
They're done?
Yeah, one more.
One more?
One more. That'll be her.
No, I'm here as a witness. I was here
Okay,
about
ma'am.
15 minutes
Okay.
ago.
You haven't been here for 15 minutes. Just hold on just a minute. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do, okay?
He's going to check your bag and I'll go ahead and watch you.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but we're at capacity already, okay? Because I was told that I could let two in. There were two ladies that were here before her.
No, they were not here before.
Ma'am, I'm not going to argue the point with you.
Ma'am, I just need a one. Go ahead and leave your bag on the table. Oh. No, I got one. Oh, so just extend your arm, please. Okay, well, you can still call me as a witness, though. You're going to have to let me in. Yep. We're done.
We're done. We're done.
You can go back in.
Huh? Yeah.
So unfortunately, we've already reached the max capacity. We're not allowing anybody else inside the building. Not in here?
Nowhere. No standing room today.
Completely full. But we do have
We're
a
following the
link.
fire code, ma'am. There's no standing room today.
What? We have a link.
I got the already.
Oh, I got it.
You can go to the link. You can hang out here and go to the link if you like. He was already in there.
They lost their seat.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Now, I got a little bit ahead of myself. Before this video, you saw how long the political portion was. I could have had my oration on this probably 30 times in the time you guys went for executive session. You know, Kelly came up here and she played the poor me card. I am the city manager, and look what happened to me for not filing a complaint. When I had my interview with Attorney Ryan, I mentioned several times that Kelly Kinsler is a puppet master. She knows how to manipulate. In fact, Mr. Henry can remember this motion as he was interviewing me. Kelly is the puppet master. She knows how to control a situation from an arm's length away.
else are we missing?
Brandon and,
Where are they? He's in the.
Oh, there's Jorge.
Brandon and Xavier.
Separated the council into teams because there was going to be a lot of locations to hit. It just so happened that at that particular event, I was paired up with her and Mr. Martinez, who rode in another vehicle. We went to Tail Waggers, and like Ms. Kessler said, it was like a pet grooming boarding, and the man had, the owners had apparently done some either reconstruction or redecorating or whatever, so he took us on a tour through the facility, and like I mentioned, I wasn't feeling well, so I excused myself to the ladies' room and came back and left my room.
So you came back and there was a dog bathing facility, is that correct?
Yes, we were standing right next to the big dog bathing.
Did he motion or did he do anything? I mean, how exactly did he say, do you want to take a bath? Or
I said in my statement, he leaned in and said, would you like to take a bath?
And then at that point, did you tell him that his comments were inappropriate, or what did you do at that point?
Ms. Bradshaw, let me start by saying this. He's a grown man, married, why do I need to explain to an individual like that about boundaries? He's not 4 or 5 years old that he doesn't comprehend.
Thanks for being here. Yes, my question is, you said you heard Dr. Rodriguez, that she definitely started passing that she wanted to take back from her. Oh, you were there. Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. You heard the comment. I said nothing about it. Firsthand. And then the sexual comments that you heard while you were driving in the past, were they about Dr. Rodriguez? I don't know who you're talking about.
You mentioned about inappropriate comments, but did you hear inappropriate sexual comments?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Behind that, why we can't calculate.
It's state law and it's in your city code.
So I just went through this last council meeting regarding junk vehicles, and it was explained to me by the chief of.
Someone that doesn't even know me could clearly just make a blanket assumption that I'm dishonest, just based on the fact that, as he is even stated in the fact report, that he doesn't trust city employees and that I'm no exception. That clearly showed, illustrated to me that there's a definite bias here against.
So facing you guys taking a picture.
My wife was standing next to the photographer, facing us.
Okay, did your wife say anything to you after this picture? Or after it was taken?
No, not at all. And there were a bunch of people around us. If I would have done as she claimed, somebody should have come forward.
All right, so we'll wait until you present your.
Yeah, number 13.
Well, do we still have all these other witnesses?
Yeah, we've got all
We
the
need
others.
to start. We need to finish that first.
Yeah.
Okay, we were. Mr. Martinez, we won't go to number 13 until we finish the called witnesses that we discussed earlier. Oh, yeah, release the witnesses. So they don't need to be recalled.
If you don't want to,
So that would be Yvonne Acuna and, well, Catherine Rodriguez, I guess she could be recalled. And Melinda, there you go. She's wanting to be released as well. Yes.
I guess there's one rebuttal witness before we move on to Mr. Martinez's comments. That's Lieutenant Gonzalez.
Oh, I'm sorry. Getting confused of the various people that have come up to the podium. Okay.
And the actual text from the are included below that. Scroll down, Crystal. The first slide. That's the Texas Transportation Code. And that's the Leon Valley Code. And what I was trying to show is, sorry, can you go back up just a second? No, it's large. That the A1 to AB1 to B also, they show exactly the same. Okay, so can you go to the next thing?
Excuse me, Mr. Bradshaw, Ms. Charles has a question.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I'm not understanding how both Ms. Frederick's intervention letter to the mayor and your response has to do anything with Benny Martinez.
I have a question. It's coming. I'm almost done. We're almost
About Benny Martinez's hearing?
Yes, yes. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Keep going.
All right, if you'll continue, please.
We are currently live streaming, so please, thank you.
Counselor Alcacer?
It is. They can hear you.
All right. If everyone could take their places, we'll continue.
As seen in the video, it clearly shows how Kelly Kinsler has control over all of the staff, over Monica Alcacer, Donna Charles, Henry Ryan, and the police department. The role of Mr. Henry as a designated officer should be a person that has no dealing with the city, has no involvement. You just saw him colluding with Kelly Kinsler and Donna Charles. Is that an ethics violation? Should the bar know about that? What would their opinions be? Kelly Kinsler works for the city council. She is hired and fired by the city council based on what the people of Leon Valley want and need. I have never told Kelly, you shall, you must, or you have to. I have never violated any portion of the city charter. Has anybody heard of an employee trying to get rid of their boss? Isn't that what Kelly Kinsler is trying to do to me? Imagine if the president of a corporation trying to get rid of a member of the board of directors. Isn't that what's happening here? What city manager keeps all emails for the last 3 years? What city manager asks a former city attorney about a workshop discussion 3 years ago and gets a statement from her on December 30th, 2018? As the city manager, Kelly Kinsler should be able to receive suggestions from the mayor and or the 5 city council members. I have never told Kelly Kinsler, you shall, you must, you have to. I admit to making suggestions, inquiries, and posing other questions. Kelly Kinsler should know from her past as a county manager in New Mexico and now as a city manager that counselors make suggestions. It's up to her to use our suggestions as she seems fit. She should have the freedom to get other counselors' thoughts on a suggestion. She could ignore my suggestions completely. That is her right as a city manager. I have never violated any portion of the city charter. As added proof that Kelly Kinsler is the puppet master or controlling force leading up to and behind this hearing. Previously, at workshops and controversial issues, the city council meetings, we have had more than 70 people in this room. Who determined only 70 people could be in this hearing? Who decided to fill up most of the seats with police, firemen, and staff? Who instructed the police to refuse entrance to witnesses? Who instructed the police to refuse entrance to citizens? Who instructed police to admit Sarah Smart as a witness, lead her into the conference room, then find out she was my witness, and escort her out of the building? Who instructed police to order citizens to leave the meeting for quietly talking between themselves in this hearing? This is the mayor's responsibility, and only the mayor should tell a person to be quiet or leave the meeting. Who is in charge of making sure staff witnesses were kept in the conference room? Who determined that I could not use the small conference room to talk with my attorney? Who decided I could not walk a short distance down that hallway to get away from everybody to have a private conversation with my attorney? Who decided visitors could not use electronic devices outside of city council chambers, as can be seen in body cam video? Who decided that visitors had to turn off all cell phones, as police instructed people to do in the body cam videos? Who escorted staff witnesses out of the conference room at the start of the meeting, making sure everybody was present? Commenting to police officers wanting people is my First Amendment right. Just because I'm on city council does not mean I lose my constitutional rights. She claimed I am rude and unethical. I believe it would be reasonable to expect city staff, such as Brandon Milland, to be honest, forthcoming, and be prepared when presenting at city council meetings. In order to make decisions in the best interest of the citizens of Leon Valley, this is crucial. I view one of my important traits of a city councilman is to bring our knowledge together for the benefit of the city. I am in the technology field. Monica Alcazar is a retired attorney. David Edwards, when he was on city council, is a psychologist. David Jordan is retired Air Force and is now city administrator for Dilley, Texas. Isn't that diversity what makes a good team, a good city council? Kelly makes it seem like I constantly interfere with bidding. I own an information technology company for the last 15 years. I have used my knowledge to help the city. I have been attacked in this hearing for the library project. I have asked for the test results after the project was complete. The company that did the work did not provide the information. After my request through the city manager, I was provided the information. What I received was incomplete. I informed the city manager of the problem, and the company returned and corrected the testing. What was I doing? Making sure your tax dollars were being spent properly. Isn't this our responsibility to be fiscally conservative with your tax dollars? The first night of this hearing, the city secretary's computer received 4 viruses. If the city's managed services company was doing their cybersecurity properly, this should not have happened. Properly done, her PC could have been restored in a timely manner. As an IT professional, I provide this type of service, but refuse to get involved with the city. As long as I'm on city council, I will not bid on any city projects. Legally, I can do it, but I prefer not to. If you remember, about a month ago, the microphone at this podium did not work. I was able to do a workaround, and at least the people coming up could present. The conference center, audiovisual upgrade. I was asked to participate in the site surveys and review the bids. I'm the one that suggested the 2 monitors on the side wall. Anybody been to the conference center, seen the 2 monitors? How nice it is to just be able to look at the side and read what's being projected instead of, if you're in the back of the room, having to look all the way across? What have I done that violates the charter? I use my technology knowledge to make Leon Valley better. For making suggestions, the city manager, Kelly Kinsler, is accusing me of violating the city charter. I have never bid on a city project. Legally, I could, but I feel as long as I'm on city council, it is to my best interest not to do so. I have made recommendations or suggestions. I have never told Kelly Kinsler she must, she shall, or ordered her to do anything. Again, a city manager can use suggestions from councilors as she wishes. Kelly Kinsler mentioned how staff sat in a courtroom and watched as I sued the city. They saw the mayor and her husband, Darby Riley, support me. why did a dozen police officers show up for the TRO hearing? Now, why did I sue the city? Let's talk about that for a second. On April 16th, 2019, Attorney Ryan Henry allowed an illegal city council meeting to take place. Ryan Henry stated that as long as Catherine Rodriguez and myself were in the city council chambers, we counted as a quorum. And I believe that is a correct statement. Dr. Edwards' wife was in the hospital, and he had an excused absence. That left Councilor Jordan and Councilor Alcazar the only two council persons on the dais. Attorney Henry Ryan stated that it was legal for two council members to conduct city business in spite of Mayor Riley's objections. The city charter of Leon Valley requires any ordinance to be presented at two city council meetings. A motion was made and seconded to accept the 312 protocols drafted by Henry Ryan. The next motion was made to set the 312 hearing for April 30th. Councilor Alcazar and Jordan voted unanimously to accept it. This action was in violation of our city charter. The only recourse I had was to file for a temporary restraining order, which was granted. After the TRO was obtained, the City Council followed proper procedures to schedule the placement of the 312 procedures as an agenda items. Since the proper procedures were in place, the judge dismissed making the TRO permanent. Kelly Kinsler stated that I did not have the right to question Ryan Henry's legal authority to do an investigation. Where is this a violation of the charter for me to question? Attorney Ryan Henry drafted a 7-page finding giving the city manager authority to hire him. Isn't this kind of self-serving? I think he found a cash cow, and he's going to exploit it. Now we're up to what, $75,000, $80,000? Nice cash cow. And guess what? It's your money. I bet you another attorney could provide the same type of document dispelling Ryan Henry's findings. In June 2018, I had a meeting with Kelly Kinsler and Mayor Riley. We discussed my belief that if an employee disagrees with her, she will make it very difficult for the employee. Kelly will then go to the employee and tell them she is ready to fire them, but will allow them to resign, and the city will give them a good job recommendation. If you worked for the city, what would you do?
Mr. Martinez, let's take a break. We've been at it for 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So we'll just take a break for about 15, 20 minutes. So we will recess and come back at about 8:15. Thank you. Okay, we're back on the record from our recess at 8:20 on Thursday, August the 8th, 2019 for the 312 hearing. And Mr. Martinez, I appreciate you stopping at a stopping point, and so if you'll continue on your presentation, please. We have questions next.
Sarah Smart just asked me to make a statement. She is not my attorney. She was a friend in the first meeting that was just giving me some advice as a friend and is not as my attorney. She just wanted to clear up that fact. Here, I followed the charter, the way things should be done. I filed a complaint with the city mayor, Mayor Riley, against Kelly Kinsler on April 2nd, 2019. My complaint was never acted upon, and to this day has not been acted upon. And I believe, and I'm just guessing, the mayor would like to see this resolved before she takes this or moves forward with my complaint. But I don't want to put words in the mayor's mouth. I'm just guessing. On April 16th, during that illegal city council meeting, the media was here, and I was talking with some friends in the back of the room. I did not approach the media. I had no intentions of making a statement to the media. After several attempts by the media, I finally agreed to make a statement. And this was an attempt to mitigate the destruction to my credibility and my reputation that the city has done to me. And this is a free exercise of my First Amendment rights. Why is it okay, or why am I being chastised for filing a complaint and going to the media when Councilor Rodriguez and Brandon Millard have been on TV several times and done the same thing? Is there a double standard here? Why can she do it? You know, it is my belief that since the Home Rule Charter was passed in 2017, the Kelly Kinsler has used this instrument as a means of control and power. The City Council should hire an investigator to review the following items and determine if these items are in violation of the Personnel Manual and or the Ethics Manual. And I recommend for the investigator to make a recommendation to the full City Council on possible actions against her. Number 1, violation of the Home Rule Charter. Number 2, violation of the Leon Valley Personnel Manual. Abuse of power. Witch hunt of former zoning chairman Olin Yarnell for disagreeing with her, and utilization of a criminal investigation. Closing Seneca Plaza and Lieberman's Corner without informing City Council in advance. Hiring and authorizing an investigation on Fire Chief Valdez and Assistant Chief Wade without informing
Excuse me,
City
Councilor.
Council.
Point of order.
Mr. Martinez, Ms. Alcacer has a point of order.
This is what we were talking about before. If it's an aspect related to the complaint and challenging a credibility for the complaint purpose, it's permitted, but this isn't the trial of any other complaints. And he prefaced this as asking the council to appoint an investigator to investigate complaints regarding other stuff. And so I think this kind of goes beyond the scope of what the focus of the testimony for hearing is here. If there's a complaint to be submitted by the council, that's a different proceeding if that is to go against the city manager.
Okay, but that should not stop me from continuing to present what was in my formal complaint to the mayor. This is Kelly Kinsler's charge against me. I'm refuting that.
Are you reading the complaint?
I am reading exact words from my original complaint.
Okay. If
I thought the complaint was one of the allegations,
well,
right?
I
don't have
one of
them
the
in front of me,
allegations
but,
is that
yeah.
he undermined the city manager's authority by providing a complaint to the media. If what he's doing right now is saying this is what the complaint is, and the council would need to consider whether or not that has the ability to undermine her authority when it goes to the media, then if that's what you're limiting it to, Mr. Martinez, I think that part is appropriate because that goes directly to the
Okay, thank you.
to the complaint.
Okay. Hiring and authorizing an investigation of Fire Chief Valdez and Assistant Chief Wade without informing City Council in advance. Spending $20,000 without City Council approval. Informing City Council after the report was completed by presenting an invoice with a request for payment. Then refusing to release the report, even though it had already been released to the media and a copy had been sent to at least one local citizen. She sent a letter, or had Denise send a letter to the Attorney General requesting that we not get that document. The Attorney General came back and said they had to release it and they can redact personal information, which was then done. Usurping the mayor's position. Leon Valley Home Rule Charter, item 3.06. The mayor is the presiding officer of the city council. Section 312. The city council shall have the power to inquire into official conduct. Kelly Kinsler's email dated 3/15/2019. Please provide me, Kelly, direction as to what the city council wishes to do moving forward. That's not her job. That's your job, City Council. January 2018, adding 6 new ordinances to the agenda without Mayor Riley's approval. Our regular council meeting was canceled, and the next week we reconvened in special council, and Kelly Kinsler added 6 items. And she later sent a letter apologizing to us for doing that. Staff involvement in the 2018 city election, and I'll skip the police involved. Kelly Kinsler created a witch hunt to have an elected official removed from office by organizing some members of city staff and a sitting member of city council to submit complaints against a sitting city council member, all within the same time frame, within 2 of the complaints from LVPD officers being filed on the same date. And then this is added. Signing the extension of the red light camera contract without city council approval. And then the last one is signing the contract with attorney Ryan Henry, extension contract on April 30th. The city council should have approved this with the mayor, Riley, signing the agreement, and not Kelly. Here is my email to Mayor Riley. Official complaint against city manager. Look at the date, April 2nd. Kelly Kinsler questioned a grant given to the Leon Valley Chamber of Commerce. There was an effort to have the struggling chamber pay back the $30,000 grant that was given. I admit, I can be passionate when speaking. This is one of the pledges I ran on. Kelly is bringing up an incident that happened 3 years ago. Kelly Kinsler claims that I had inappropriate contact with the Tribbles, who ended up suing the city. Bob and Gail Tribble are longtime residents of Leon Valley. They came to me for help. I provide constituent services. I mentioned to give Kelly Kinsler a heads up that the city was going to be sued. What is wrong with that? Where is that a violation of the city charter? Throughout Kelly Kinsler's testimony, she claims I gave orders. She fabricates and changes the emails I sent to make it seem like I am doing something wrong. I have never given any orders, demands to Kelly Kinsler or the Leon Valley staff. I have never violated our city charter. Another thing someone just pointed out, during recesses, the video is being stopped, I believe. Or is it continuing? During the recess? Yeah. Okay. The first couple meetings, where do you think we got the video of Mr. Henry colluding with Councilor Donna Charles and Kelly Kinsler?
Can I respond to that?
No. It's just a rhetorical question. It's on February 28th, 2018, ordering the city manager to offer Andy Garcia different values in order to keep him as an employee, which is in direct violation of 3.09 of the city charter. I did not ever violate the charter or give an order. I did not say I command you or you must. I gave recommendations and suggestions to Kelly based on the information I received through one of my constituents. The city of Leon Valley has invested money into Andy Garcia. The taxpayers don't want to invest in employees that turn over so quickly. I was advocating against the charter. Here's the email. This is from a constituent. I just heard that Andy Garcia was offered a job with Bexar County. I heard that he really wants to stay with Leon Valley. Is there anything you can do to save this person? Talk with him and see what it will take to keep him. Offer him a promotion. I don't think we need to lose our investment in him. Is that giving an order? Okay, I got off topic here for a second. This is typical of emails that I have sent in the past. I am asking. I'm not ordering. You mean I can't? I guess she is insinuating that as an elected official, I can't ask the city manager anything without being accused of giving orders. Directly interfering with staff's administrative role regarding the rewiring of the library at around October 2018. I own an IT company. Barcom stated at a city council meeting they always provide a floor plan and testing documentation. After the project was complete, I went to the library to check out the new cabling. I also asked the city manager for the promised completed documentation that Barcom stated they would provide. I asked the city manager. Barcom did not provide the necessary documents to the city. A few days later, they returned to the library to do the required testing. Upon review of the test data, I noticed that Barcom missed testing 3 of the data outlets and all 4 of the wireless access points. I informed Kelly Kinsler about this fact. Barcom returned and completed the testing properly. I am using my expertise as an IT professional for free to verify the city and all the taxpayers that they received what they were promised. To me, this is being fiscally conservative. Show me where in the charter is this a violation. After being advised not to make a public statement prior to an executive session on April 2nd, Martinez publicly accused the city manager of unethical behavior, interfering with her abilities to execute her duties in violation of 3.09 of the city charter. Attorney Ryan Henry violated my First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. Though Ryan Henry advised me not to make a statement, the job of city attorney to give opinions and recommendation. It is a council member's choice if they want to take these recommendations or legal opinions. The Texas Open Meeting Act. The act permits a member of the public or a member of a government body to raise a subject that was not been included in the notice for the meeting. But any discussion of the subject must be limited to a proposal to place the subject on the agenda for a future meeting. Basically, a lot of you people have come up during a city council meeting and made a statement. And you can talk for 5 minutes. You can, if you wanted to, you could read the phone book. You could read the dictionary for 5 minutes. Nobody's going to stop you. What we can't do is have open dialogue back and forth. The only thing we can do is put the item on the next agenda or for a future agenda to have open discussion. Interfering, we've already talked about this, interfering and undermining the city manager's authority by interjecting in the library rewire project. Councilmember Martinez instructed Crystal Caldera to perform certain tasks regarding AV equipment when Martinez was complaining about Barcom as the IT support. This is a little bit confusing because there's talking about different things. But if this was true and undermining is not a violation of the city charter, and in interjecting myself into taxpayer-funded initiatives is my obligation as a city council member. I only gave recommendations, suggestions, and posted inquiries. I did not ever violate the charter or give an order. I never did say, I command you or you must. This is another instance of noise to increase the amount of allegations against me. Involving myself and instructing the city manager and the chief of police to be selective and individually enforce the sex offender registration requirements. I did not ever violate the charter or give an order. I never did say I command you or you must. This allegation is related to the chief's attempting to push through an ordinance by getting it voted on with limited deliberation by the city council. I am allowed and my constituents desire that I aggressively inquire and investigate the reasons and rationales behind such proposed ordinances. The police chief does not like to be questioned, so complains when he does. He would rather council rubber stamp all his proposed ordinances without allowing for due diligence by council members. Again, this is another noise allegation. I never did violate the charter or give an order. I did not say I command you or you must. I only made recommendations and suggestions based on input from constituents I serve. Email regarding this issue was sent to Kelly, not to Chief Savaggio, and she used her discretion to send it to Savaggio. Catherine Rodriguez complains that I sexually harassed her in violation of the city's charter prohibition on sexual discrimination in her position. This would only qualify as a 3.08 violation. I did not ever sexually harass or discriminate against Catherine Rodriguez. Attorney Ryan Henry was very, very detailed in the TRO hearing, stating that the 60-day window started on March 15th. He told the judge that several times. That I became involved in the use of BARCOM versus ARTCOM for IT services. I never did violate the charter or give Kelly an order. I never did command her to say you must or you shall or you have to. I made a recommendation. I make recommendations, suggestions, inquiries, and investigations based on the desires of my constituents I serve. Advocating is not giving orders. Roxanne Contornejo left the city over 2 years ago. Why would Kelly Kinsler contact her regarding an issue from 2016? Roxanne left the city of Leon Valley as attorney because the city manager, Kelly Kinsler, wanted her to be a full-time attorney. Roxanne Contornejo stated that she was also a city attorney for other cities and could not accept full-time employment. You know, an attorney's job is to give their professional legal opinion. And that's all it is a legal opinion. You get two attorneys in the same room, and you might end up with 4 different opinions. We can choose to accept or not. This is a council person's discretion. Even if true, none of these are violations of the charter. Misquoting, fabricating, undermining are not charter violations. And I have my First Amendment rights. I believe this does prove that Kelly Kinsler is organizing this vicious attack against me. December 19th, 2019, when informed of the complaint filed by Frederick, Martinez responded with a complaint against Frederick stating she should not advise City Council unless asked a question. I have complained to Mayor Riley on several occasions about Denise Frederick actively getting involved in city council debate. As the city attorney, she should remain quiet until asked for her legal opinion. I am legally allowed to file a complaint and express myself just like Denise Frederick did. I was intending to file a complaint on December 19th for several weeks prior to this date. I did not file in retaliatory manner. The complaint is substantiated and credible. Complaint by Felicia Novan regarding the aquarium and giving orders to staff. This is another example of Kelly Kinsler keeping information to file against me. I make recommendations, suggestions, inquiries, and investigations only. Advocating for the business is not giving orders. I never did violate the charter. Where is this a violation of the charter? Martinez demanded the investigator assigned by the city manager cease all investigation efforts immediately on January 10th. I was inquiring from attorney Ryan Henry where he got his authority to pursue an investigation against me. I believe all allegations should have been sent to Mayor Riley instead. If Ryan Henry could not prove he had legal authority to represent the city, then he should stop all investigations. Again, as an elected official, isn't this being fiscally responsible? Mr. Henry created a 7-page legal opinion giving the city manager, Kelly Kinsler, authority to hire him. Isn't this self-serving? Is it possible for another attorney to prepare a legal opinion preventing the city manager from hiring from hiring Mr. Henry? Multiple attorneys I have consulted with challenge the credibility, the truth, and applicability and reliability to Ryan Henry's 7-page memorandum opinion regarding Kelly Kinsler's authority, in addition to his unethical continued representation in multiple roles throughout this process. This will be challenged in real court of law pending any negative outcome to this 312 hearing. Violation of the city charter regarding citizens to be heard portion of the special meeting on April 16th at 8 p.m. as a deliberation in violation of Section 312 of the city charter. After being advised such statements can be used against you, you proceeded to deliberate through speaking under the public comments section of the meeting. My comments were not comments regarding any deliberation. It was intended for the public. I did not expect or desire a response to some rhetorical statements and questions. I am fully entitled to speak in accordance with my First Amendment rights. Where does this violate the charter? Violation of city charter regarding citizens to be heard, again, on June 4th. My comments were not comments regarding any deliberation. It was intended for the public, did not expect or desire a response to some rhetorical statements and questions, and I fully entitled to speak in accordance with my First Amendment rights. Again, where is this a violation of the charter? Kelly stated in her statement that she received a formal complaint from Catherine Rodriguez on December 12th and then gave the complaint to Denise Frederick on December 18th. At this time, Denise told Kelly that she had her own complaint for Benny Martinez. According to Kelly's testimony, she then decided to reach out to the Texas Municipal League on December 18th, who then guided her to contact an outside counsel, Ryan Henry. Why would Kelly Kinsler have told Catherine immediately on December 12th that she would contact TML? Look at the date, December 12th. Good morning, or good evening, Dr. Rodriguez. I am in receipt of your correspondence. I will be contacting the Texas Municipal League as to how to proceed on December 12th. She's, in her testimony, multiple times, she said she did that on December 18th. Who's correct? Here's an email. Here is a timeline from the time I got elected. Look at from 2014 all the way. 2018, nothing. All of a sudden, all these bogus allegations have surfaced. And this is just showing the timeline from Kelly Kinsler's notebook that she presented to council. Although I do not receive any compensation for the service I provide to the constituents of Leon Valley, I have many accomplishments in my 5 years on City Council. This last year, my major accomplishments are the library is now open 7 days a week. This has been very, very welcome, and the library is being heavily used on Sunday and Mondays. Upgrades to the audio and video technology at the conference center. Like I mentioned earlier, I reviewed all the bids, and all the bidders, I'm the one that requested the additional monitors on the side wall. Every city employee last year got a 0.5% increase in pay. Last year, the employees were given a choice. Would you like to have your retirement kicked up from 6% to 7% and only get a 1.5% COLA? During the city council meeting, when we were reviewing the budget, the final day for the budget, it was noted that our insurance rate was about half of what we anticipated. At that point, I mentioned, could we give that savings to the employees? Right away, Kelly Kinsler and the finance director got out their calculators and started punching buttons. Yes, we can do that. I was responsible for giving all city employees a 0.5% increase in last year's pay. I constantly advocate for the people and businesses in Leon Valley when they approach me with various issues. Some people do not I can't even talk. Some people do not like the way I look, act, speak, question, write, or behave. The city included the prosecutor named Ryan Henry has failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt using specific examples or evidence that I have violated any provision of the charter. Here is the finding from his March 15th email to City Council. Based on the information collected, I recommend 1, the complaint by Frederick against Profit. She did file a complaint against one of our zoning, one of the zoning members. And all complaints against Martinez by Frederick, Milland, Azar, and Breton for hostile work environment not be submitted for a hearing or action. Number 2, the complaint against Martinez by Rodriguez be submitted for the 312 hearing and possible action. The complaint against Martinez by Acuna not be submitted due to the lack of frequency. And number 4, the City Council hold a 312 hearing to consider possible 309 violation by Martinez for violating the city charter. The City Council is not bound by this recommendation and may choose to take no action at all or choose to act on all matters for the 312 hearing. Okay. Press it. What is Mr. Henry doing here? Is that an unbiased attorney?
We are currently live streaming, so please, thank you.
For such a small girl, she has a big voice. Is there any way to really fast it up to section R?
I can fast it wherever you want it.
This is a list of specific
Okay, yeah, I thank you. I was, should have done that myself. I brought it to do that and then have gotten distracted. It's just that they've begun to try to mislead and direct away from it so it won't come out. Charges.
Well, about the town.
It's on page 2.
Yeah, no, I have to take this part out.
Oh, okay, that was the part you were supposed to get. Because it wasn't, I mean, he's going as though we're in a legal case and opening the door and all that thing.
Which is not. If he starts reading
Counselor Alcacer?
It is. They can hear you.
All right. If everyone could take their places, we'll continue.
This hearing violates my First, my Fifth, and my 14th Amendment rights. Brian Henry does not meet the qualification of designated officer, was not employed by a majority vote of those members entitled to deliberate and vote. He is currently employed by the city as conflict counsel. Did have active representation in the city, retained by the city manager for the TRO hearing. Councillor Alcacer and Charles have proven they are not unbiased. And like I have suggested, we need to move this to district court. In conclusion, I deny all allegations that I sexually harassed anybody. I deny all allegations that I gave orders to staff or the city manager, Kelly Kinsler. I deny that I ordered the police chief, Joe Savaggio, to close or get involved in police matters. What I have done is represent the citizens and business owners of Leon Valley. I have advocated for them. This is the reason I am on my third term as your elected official. In Sunday school, we recently discussed, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor." I firmly believe I have proved the sexual harassment claims by Councilwoman Rodriguez is a complete untruth. This was an organized plan by her political supporters. Again, what have I done for the city of Leon Valley recently? The library is open 7 days a week. The upgrades to the audio-visual at the conference center. And every employee got a 0.5% raise last year. This concludes my testimony. I'm ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. So we'll begin at approximately 4 minutes after 9. Ms. Charles, would you like to please begin the questioning?
Councilor Martinez, in your testimony, you mentioned that Acuna corrected the report that Ryan Henry had sent out originally, but you failed to mention that she corrected it, and then in her testimony here, she got up and said that the facts stood.
You read what I posted, and that's directly from the attorney Ryan Henry's report that he gave on April 15 or March 15th. He embellished her statements and she refuted it. Is that the job of an investigating attorney, to make up things?
But you did not follow through that in her testimony. She did correct what she did not agree with. She corrected and sent that back to Ryan Henry. And then in her testimony, she said the facts stood.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr.
Is
Bradshaw.
How is that a question?
Did she not say that? Did she not get up in her testimony and say that the facts stood?
I don't recollect that exactly.
She did. I have that. So, and do you feel it's advantageous to put the videos on that you show every time with your language scrolling across the bottom without knowing what is being said in those videos?
Are you ashamed of being caught?
No, I'm asking you.
Are you ashamed of being caught?
I'm not ashamed of it because you don't know what I was saying. I'm asking you.
We all saw you and Kelly passing notes back and forth.
You don't know
and
what
then
we were
you
passing.
ask a question right after that.
Excuse me, we're not
Sorry.
going to talk over one another. We're going to be civil.
I'm asking you.
Excuse me, Miss Charles, just a minute, please. Would you please listen? We're not going to talk over one another. We're not going to yell. We're going to ask a question. We're going to answer in a, just a regular way. But let's not get into, I know it's a long night. Everybody's tired. It's emotional. But let's please remain calm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And be
I'm sorry, Mayor.
respectful. And be respectful of one another. Be civil. Thank you.
So again, do you feel it was advantageous to put the videos on twice tonight and scroll your language, which was added to it, without knowing what the conversations were?
Yes.
In what way?
It was very effective.
In what way?
Showing how you are biased. You are not an unbiased person. This shows Mr. Henry is not eligible to be the designated officer by him colluding with you and Kelly Kinsler.
Do you not feel that you are making assumptions since you do not know what the conversations were?
No.
In a council meeting where you were talking about the St. John's expanded mailing, you said that the Monica motion and the council did approve the expanded mailing for that account, but the council did not approve the expanded information be counted. They did not ask for it to be counted. Only you did that, right?
Stop and ask that question to yourself. Why would the council require Brandon Milland to send out expanded notices if we weren't going to get the results of them? Is that just an exercise in futility?
Did the council ask that Brandon Milland count those in his calculations?
Common sense tells you
No,
that
I'm
he
asking
should have
you,
done that.
Did the council, as a body, ask that those be counted?
Not in those words, but come on. Common sense tells you that if you were going to require him to send out the expanded notices, you're going to want the results of those expanded notices.
So you're speaking for the full council?
The whole council. Councilor Alcazar is the one that made the motion for the expanded notification area.
Did she
the
make
The whole council directed him to do the expanded notification area.
Did the whole council demand that he calculate those in his findings, in his results?
Common sense tells you that if the whole council requires you to do something, you're going to follow up and provide the test results. Otherwise, why do it? We have a history since, I believe, 2000 or 2005 in other issues. In fact, one dealing with Monica Alcazar's property, or the vacant land across from her property, we sent out, this was before I got on the council, but expanded notice was sent out, and it was discussed in council. The Latter-day Saints Church was done. We have a precedent of requiring community development to send out expanded notices, and common sense tells you if you're going to send out the notices, you want the results.
The council did not ask, however, that the council as a body asked that the expanded notices be sent out, but did the council as a body ask that they be counted in the calculations?
You're going in circles. I've already answered this question.
Fine, thank you. Oh, you mentioned that Attorney Henry asked that the complaints from Frederick, Milan, Azar, and Britton not go forward due to the hostile work environment. That was true.
That's right from his report.
Yes. I'm saying, but you failed to mention the rest of that. Can you tell me what the rest of that is?
I read it word for word. What more do you want?
I'm asking you to explain the rest of that. What could they go forward with, and why did they get to be able to come forward?
From what I have been told, again, this is self-serving on Attorney Ryan Henry, that he said he found a little thread that he could continue milking the city for this 312 hearing. And look what he's done. We're down to, what, $80,000? Is that pretty close to the amount now? Or is it over 100? You found a cash cow.
Is part of that expense part of your lawsuit against the city? How much of that was the lawsuit against the city that you filed?
I don't have the exact figure. No, I do not have that.
That's convenient.
No, it isn't.
But thank you.
No, it isn't convenient. I have no idea. If I was known, I do have his billing statements, and if I would have known. In fact, you have the billing statement. I believe all the council members have the billing statements, so you can answer that question yourself.
Do you remember the pie chart that was presented at a council meeting that showed the expenses? And it was your expense, the lawsuit against the city. It was the expenses for this hearing and other expenses, which was very minor. Do you remember that pie chart?
There was 3 sections to the pie chart. One was the city, the mayor's asking questions of him. That was a small portion, and I don't remember the exact other 2 topics, but yeah, it was divided into 3.
They look pretty equal
sections.
to me. Did they look equal to you?
The 2 big sections?
Right.
Yes.
Yes. So one of them was your lawsuit against the city.
Again, is he milking the city? Again, stop and ask yourself the question, why did I file the lawsuit to get a temporary restraining order? Because Ryan Henry allowed an illegal city council meeting to take place.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Charles. Ms. Alcacer.
You said early on in your testimony that you know as a fact that I attend many staff meetings. Would it surprise you that I've only attended one staff meeting, and that was within a few weeks of being elected the first time? Where is your factual information coming from?
From staff and I have other sources that I would prefer not to divulge their names, but I have been told that you attend a lot of meetings and staff is, I guess, would prefer that you didn't attend them.
Name one.
I'd prefer not to, just to involve, to incriminate innocent people.
And what do you call a staff meeting?
You're an attorney.
Oh, you said I was retired, but actually, yes, I am an attorney. I'm not a retired attorney.
Well, you're not actively practicing right now. I get, and you've told me
And that's
that you are retired.
fact, you know?
And you have specifically told
Excuse me.
that you are
Let's wait
retired.
until we get the answer, and then before you respond, please. Question and answer.
I've never talked to you about what I do as an attorney, except when you brought up your problems with your children.
Okay.
Well, can
With
I
Andy
respond?
Excuse me just
Can
a
I
second.
respond?
There was not a question. If you'll keep it to questions, please, Ms. Alcacer, so he can respond. So,
How is your Fifth Amendment being violated? Your Fifth Amendment
The
rights?
Fifth and the 14th Amendment are tied together. The 14th Amendment references the Fifth Amendment.
How are your Fifth Amendment rights being violated?
Again, the Fifth and the 14th are related, and they reference each other.
And what does that have to do with you?
I've asserted from the beginning that my constitutional rights are being violated by this hearing.
So what does the Fifth Amendment say to you?
Fifth Amendment, like I said,
You have a right to
references the
remain
14th
silent?
Amendment. References the 14th Amendment, and the 14th Amendment deals with due process.
The Fifth Amendment says you have a right to remain silent. Have you done that?
No.
Lieutenant Gonzalez and Kelly Kienzler, the city manager, both heard the comment that you made to Councilor Rodriguez at the National Night Out. You claim she's lying, and they both heard you say, "Take a bath with me." So they're lying also?
The original complaint, and when Catherine Rodriguez was on TV, she stated that you want to take a bath. It wasn't till later that the "with me" was added. And you have to look at the context. We are standing in front of a dog washing booth. If you want, I can go back and show you the picture of the booth. Just take me a second to get...
My question, I don't need the picture. My question is, are they lying also?
I can foresee myself making a statement, looking at this wash tub for dogs, making a statement, this is a nice place to take a bath.
One more time, are they lying also? Yes or no is all it takes.
Yes, they are taking it out of context. I could have made a statement this is a nice place to take a bath. We're bathing dogs. I didn't say I'm going to take a bath with her, and I'm not insinuating that she's a dog.
No need to raise your voice. You can go back to your email that you pulled up about Andy Garcia, if you will.
I went the wrong way. I'm sorry. Oh, it's before this. Here it is.
Okay. Talk with him and order. Offer him a promotion or more money and order. Doesn't say must or might, it just orders. Talk with him. Offer him a promotion. Do you not understand the use of words is an order and it doesn't require a must?
That is not an order, that is a suggestion. We had an investment in this individual. One of our citizens really liked his work and requested that, is there anything we can do to save this individual from leaving Leon Valley? And all I did is passed on her request to the city manager like I am supposed to do. Everything I do is funneled through the city manager, and I always copy Mayor Riley on every one of my emails.
Okay, you just say, I heard all of your things like the attorney. I talked to many attorneys, and they say that Ryan Henry's wrong. So who did you talk to and when about Ryan Henry being wrong, about his right to be here to do what he's doing?
I'm not going to release or mention the two attorneys' names, but I have talked to attorneys, and they have both mentioned that, just stop and think about this. Stop and think about this, Monica.
Excuse me, sir, I'm asking you questions. I don't need to stop and think about it. I'm asking you who and when. You're refusing to answer who, so just tell me when.
After this, I guess from January to current, sometime in that time frame. Now, it's okay for you to interrupt me, but I can't interrupt you. You can talk over me.
Nobody's going to talk over anybody, and we'll have to stop this proceeding. That tells me that everybody's really tired and fussy, and we'll just, call it a night and continue tomorrow. So, please, show respect. Be civil, please.
On the issue with Brandon Milland, you, on the particular issue in the neighborhood, when we had the meeting, you kept telling him, why aren't you answering? Why didn't you calculate? Why didn't you say what you were supposed to say? Instead of letting him, he repeatedly told you that his interpretation of how the law was written only allowed him to give the 20% calculation, which is what he provided us. But you kept insisting that he go beyond that. Why did you do that?
Like I previously answered, common sense states that as a body, we required him to send out an expanded notice. We went into great detail on what streets and what areas to send the expanded notice to. With that, at the next council meeting, don't you think it's common sense for him to present the findings that the city council required him to send out?
That isn't what was required, and I don't think it involves common sense. But I would like to ask you, did the people from the area get contacted and they showed up at the meeting and gave their opinions? Did they not?
Yes, they did.
And that's what we needed to hear. That was our request, was it not?
That was partial answer.
And the great majority of them opposed the change in the zoning, did they not?
That is correct.
And you opposed by your vote what the constituents who belong to all of us, not just you, what they requested us to do. You totally ignored it and voted against it, did you not?
I voted against the policy to rezone that property to B3. Yes, I did. Now, also, you have to take this into context. This whole thing could have been resolved. In fact, I believe Brandon originally suggested that the front 2.5 acres are zoned B2. The rest of the property is zoned B1. I mean R1. A very, very simple solution would have been to allow churches in R1 and B2 with a very strict SUP, and the matter would have been solved. He originally came up with that and changed his mind. So yes, I voted with the citizens not to change the zoning to B3, which allows, which at the time was the only zoning that where you could put a church in. It's been amended now, but the residents of Pavona didn't want to allow B3 right next to their neighborhood, and I don't blame them. Once a B3 property has the most rights to build as any commercial property. So
I think
they were scared. Let me finish, please. Let me finish, please. They were scared that the city would change the zoning to B3, and the church could say, "Thank you, Leon Valley. You just made our property very valuable. We're going to sell it and move our church elsewhere, and we can fund our church by this big, wonderful gift you've given us." And they could have put a shopping center in there. They could have put in like what Bobby Anderson has behind HEB. They could have put that kind of center down in there. The people in Pavona Place did not want that to happen. That's why I voted.
I'm sorry, you need to look at your vote, because that is not what happened with your vote. But my next question has to do with the Nina Nixon. You pull up her letter, please, that you brought in, and show me what part of that is inaccurate.
Let's see. Was that no? That's in the city manager's portion, I believe. No. Hmm. I thought it was in the, I thought it was in the city manager's portion.
I think it's near Andy's, but I'm not sure.
Okay, there's Andy's.
I think it might have been at the beginning. You're right. I'm looking at my notes.
The beginning of Kelly's?
No, at the beginning of your presentation.
It's like at the beginning of the presentation. Somewhere. It was early on.
Was it early on? Oh. Oh, here.
There it is.
Hmm?
Right there.
Okay. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, you had her letter, but you actually had her resignation letter, I thought. And you were saying something about it being inaccurate.
There it is. Oh, that's just the email.
That's his email.
Okay, will you go back to your email, because it references, so you don't have in there Nina's actual one where she said that part of her reason was resigning was because of your treatment, that she'd never been treated anywhere that she'd ever worked in a manner that you treated her?
Yes, that was in her resignation letter.
And you disagree with that? For what reason?
That's just her opinion.
Okay. On Ms. Controneo and the what used to be the Leon Valley Chamber, you brought up the fact that Ms. Kinsler wanted to get the funds back that were given by the ED board and never properly accounted for. Do you recall all of that?
I was only privy to the beginning portion of that, thanks to you. I was removed from having any involvement in this, so the board of directors of the chamber asked me not to show up or be involved in anything, and as a city council member, because of your involvement, I stayed completely away from that, and I did not have any further involvement in.
Excuse me, point of order. Did we even go over this?
He brought it up, yes. He brought
Did you
it
bring
up.
this up?
It was part of Kelly's, one of the
chamber.
charges against me.
I'm sorry. It's late, and I could not remember that this was part of your testimony.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yes, because part of it was that he said he's never had any complaints prior to December 2018. And you remember the mayor and I met at your house regarding the Leon Valley Chamber, and that was back 3 years ago at the time Ms. Contrenail was here?
I do not recollect that at all.
And she wrote, you don't recall the mayor's letter that she wrote to you about it?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'd like to get that submitted when we have the opportunity. So, as a matter of fact, you several times showed up at the meetings when you weren't supposed to be there, and even brought Ms. Contrenail to tears at least twice that I saw because of the way you treated her. You don't recall that either?
I recall one time in her office, I was discussing the matter with her, and then you stepped in there and requested that I cease all activity in this, and I bowed completely out of it. I did not have any further involvement in this, and I believe it also went that Gail Tribble was asked to stay away from any negotiations or any involvement in the dealings between the city and the chamber. So no, I did not have any further involvement in this situation.
I was there when you interfered on several more occasions, as did Ms. Tribble. But my point being in this regard, did you know that the Tribbles owned the building that was being rented for the Leon Valley Chamber?
The Tribbles do not own that property.
At that time, they did.
Gail, you want to come
Excuse
up,
me,
Gail?
just a second. I don't think we can ask
Okay.
another person to come up.
I'll go on
It's a
beyond-
question between you and
beyond
her.
that.
And Ms.
Leon
Alcacer,
owns
please,
the-
excuse me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just keep it to questions, no comments. You're adding comments. Okay, so just question, answer. If we're going to be consistent, let's do it that way. Thank you.
To answer your question,
Well,
the person that has the business right next to the chamber office is the owner of that center.
okay,
Gail Tribble has never owned it.
did you do telephone work for the chamber?
Yes, I did.
And then the money got paid from the ED funds?
I have never charged the chamber 1 penny. The phones, I never charged the chamber 1 penny for those phones. In fact, for the last 2 years, the chamber is struggling. I haven't even been charging them for telephone service.
This is 3 years ago as part of what was being investigated, but I'll go on to the next thing. Do you recall saying when you felt like something should be done in one of your constituents' favor, that let them take us to court if they don't like it? We're city council, and it doesn't matter if we do something illegal, they would have to take us to court. We have authority to do anything we want. We're city council.
You're taking that completely out of context. You are 1,000% out of context.
Did you say it?
Not what you just said. No, I did not.
Okay.
You are taking my statement 100% out of context.
Explain that, though. Just don't say it. Just explain it. So I think that might solve.
We were discussing St. John's Church in the expanded area. And I made a statement that we are city council. We have the right to require an expanded notification area. Brandon was trying to argue against that. And I made the statement, we are city council. If we want to make an ordinance or a recommendation to have expanded notification, we can do it. If somebody does not like or challenges our decision, their recourse is to take city council to court and have that finding judged by an attorney or by a judge. And if the judge rules in our favor, it stands. If not, it'll be dismissed or it'll be rescinded. That is what I stated, that we as city council, and Mr. Henry, you know for a fact, city council has the right to do anything they want. We can pass a law. A good example, and I'll give you a very, very good example, in Chavano Park. They passed an ordinance regarding political signs. State law
excuse me,
says, let me
Mr.
finish.
Martinez.
You open the door. I'm going to finish my statement, please.
It's not on the point of my question.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we can
Yes,
come
it
back
is.
to that.
Let me
Just come
finish
back
my
to
statement.
that. Mr. Martinez, we'll come back. I'll make a note of it, and I'll ask you that question, okay? Let's just do it that way.
Regarding Felicia Novan and the aquarium, you said similar things regarding that, told them that in fact, you told the whole council that because they had been granted this, they were grandfathered in, and they shouldn't have to comply with anything that they're supposed to be doing that was being determined by the Planning and Zoning Department. Do you recall doing that and talking about that?
That, you're taking it out of context again. What I stated was when the aquarium came in, they were given a certificate of occupancy to open. Kelly Kinsler has argued that was done improperly.
Do you think it was?
That's not for me to determine. They were given a certificate of occupancy to open what should be a very treasured attraction for our city. Now, I stated at that time there should be a line drawn in the sand. As long as they continued with what they are doing, they should be grandfathered for any further improvements. Now, Brandon had required them to change the parking lot considerably, put islands in, and plant trees. My statement was, if the aquarium was to do some remodeling, some other actions that triggered, then the city should be able to require them to do these other things. But not just to walk up to the aquarium and say, hey, yeah, you've been here for 4 years, 5 years. We want you to completely tear up your parking lot and add islands and plant trees. That was my statement.
In fact, they had many violations and had to be closed down to the violations. And by that time, after that, the relative came in and took over and had agreed to make all these changes, and you still kept telling them, well, you don't have to do this. Do you recall that happening at the meeting?
Not the way you place it, no. You take things out of context, Monica.
Do you call anybody else by their first name up here?
Okay, Mrs. Alcacer. I'm sorry.
You have constantly criticized the Community Development Department, the Planning Zoning, Nina, Brandon, Felicia, and the person before that whose name I can't recall, and you're talking, telling them how things should be done. Do you have any training or background in planning and zoning?
To answer your question, no. But I have talked with Christy Flores, that was the planning and zoning director at one time. She developed a book. She, as a customer, and I'll just use the term customer, would come up to her. She would ask them questions. What do you, okay, you want to start a business? Where is it going to be located? What kind of business do you want? And she would look up the use chart and find out if their space was applicable. It's a chart that takes 5 seconds. The person coming in should have been able to pull that document. You want to do this in B2? It's permitted. Give the person the packet to go home and fill it out. When the person brings it back, take just a few seconds to look it over. Look for red flags. If it requires a floor plan or building diagram, just look and make sure that it's proper. If not, let the person know, hey, you need to go back and fix this, and you need to have somebody really redo your plans and make them look professional. And, that's helping, working with the customer. And that is being business friendly. That is what I've advocated all these years. Christy Flores is the one that started this. And in the past, we have gotten notices from businesses how easy it is to deal with Leon Valley. That is all I'm doing. I'm just advocating being business friendly. And if you pay attention, in the last couple city council meetings, Brandon has started using the word business friendly in his presentations. Where did that come from?
You know why? Because the city has always been business friendly. Not anything that you said. Your interpretation of business friendly.
Point of order.
Yeah.
It's not a question.
It's a question.
When you go to talk to them, is say, go back and do this. Did you ever sit with the staff without keeping an open mind, without criticizing them?
I specifically asked Mrs. Nixon Mendez the question, when somebody comes in, what do? I hand them a packet. When they bring it back, do you review it with them? And she said, no, I just get the packet and review it and refer it to the committee to review it. That's all that she does. She didn't interact, ask questions, find out anything from the customer. That is not being business friendly.
Did she say that in her letter, or did she contradict your story?
The next day, I sent the city manager an email, and I also had a telephone conversation where I discussed what we I sent her an email and mentioned what we had discussed the night before, and this was before a city council meeting where Kelly Kensler walked me down to the community development office to talk with her.
So, going to a separate matter, do you recall talking to Ms. Caldera over at the conference center, telling her to ignore what the city manager told her to do in relation to getting the upgrades over there?
Again, you're taking this out of context. What transpired is that the coffee, Barcom did some rewiring at the conference center, and the clickers didn't work. They did something to the Wi-Fi that the clickers didn't work. And I was just talking with her, asking her questions about that, and asking her questions about what Barcom had done. I'm an IT professional. I was inquiring. Isn't that our job? Isn't that in the charter, that we have the authority to inquire and investigate?
Did you tell her to ignore what?
No.
The man, when you're, I have a lot more, but I'd like to pass it to Mr. Bradshaw for now.
Excuse me, Mr. Bradshaw, I know you have a lot of questions too. I'd like to still try to finish up at 10 because everybody's tired, but we do have a few housekeeping items because after we finished questioning, I was asking the attorney, what's the next thing on the agenda? And we have the ability to recall witnesses. We have the ability to subpoena witnesses. We have the ability to submit additional documentation, as you just requested. And then we have the ability to make statements. Is that correct?
You can make your statements during the deliberation process regarding any of the motions made.
But before the deliberation, right?
But before the vote.
Before the vote, that's what I meant.
Yes, before the vote.
Okay, all right. So I don't know how long that's going to take. So I don't know how we're going to do this, but if that's amenable to everybody, we'll finish up at 10, go ahead and start, and then we'll finish up, we'll recess till tomorrow.
I'd like to go a little longer than 10 so that we can, in hopes of being able to finish up tomorrow.
Well, I was mentioning to the attorney, if we subpoena people, now how's that working? Do we have to have a vote on that? It takes 3 days.
Yeah, so if you want to subpoena people or documents, it's similar to a court subpoena, but it's a subpoena from a governing body, so you would need to give them at least 3 days in order to respond. So they couldn't necessarily be here tomorrow. Now, if they voluntarily show up, that's fine, or they give you the documents before, then that's fine, but technically it's
we've even discussed subpoenaing anybody.
On the,
it's number 12.
I know that we can, but I meant.
No, we haven't had an opportunity because we've been just kind of going through the, but number 12 says, presentation by called witnesses. At the City Council's discretion, it may call any witnesses it wishes by majority vote of the members of the City Council, so we do have to have a vote, who may deliberate and vote at the 312 hearing and who are present. Such witnesses must be put under oath in order to provide information or evidence at the hearing. Only the members of the City Council who made, oh, that's a repetition. So that's it.
I would still like to go to 10:30 with the.
Mayor, I'd like to end at 10. I still have work tomorrow early, and I'd be willing to forego my questions now until tomorrow because we probably still have some more housekeeping stuff to decide.
Okay, thank you. Miss.
Quick follow-up questions?
Okay, let me ask you, are you willing to go, finish at 10, or do you want to go till 10:30? We'll have to take a vote.
10.
10, okay. So 10, 10:30, and 10.
I just want to go longer without stopping. We're always stopping. We don't stop the regular meeting, but 10 is okay for tonight, but tomorrow we can go all night. Just get it done.
Well,
anyway,
I have a
can
concern.
She ask her questions?
I have a concern with that, Ms. Alcacer, because after a certain hour, our brains are like fried.
I understand that.
And I work all day, so I'm coming here after work. So I have a
All
concern,
work,
and I
believe
don't
it or
want to.
not.
I don't want to. This is very serious. I want us to take it, with care and consideration, and not rush. And like I said, I would like to subpoena at least one witness. I don't know about anybody else. If we could have a vote on that, because it's a 3-day process. So.
But did the subpoena say for those who deliberate and vote?
Yes.
You don't deliberate and vote.
I know, but I don't deliberate and vote, but maybe I can get somebody to ask for me on that. So.
Can she ask her 3 questions?
She may. Let's do that, and then we'll stop. Okay.
All right. The first one, Mr. Martinez, is in your statement, it's about the incident on Rue Sophie and Seneca, and you said that the police violently forced you to the ground?
That is correct.
And we watched the video, and we didn't see violently, so can you explain that, please?
If I'm down on my hands and knees, I'm stretched out, my fingers are spread, I'm on my hands and my knees. Remember, I had surgery less than a month before. I had a hernia operation, so I was kind of moving slow. And when somebody comes up behind you and does that number,
Okay.
is that assisting you to the ground?
Let me ask you this. At what point did you start saying that I'm city councilor? Was it after you were placed on the ground or before?
Way before that. Way before that.
Did you expect to be treated differently than any other citizen?
No. I just wanted to let them know, hey, the police did not have the situation contained properly.
I'm just asking about this incident, about
I am
you
talking
being
about it.
about you being placed on the ground.
Again, the police did not have the situation contained. If I should not have been able to walk down the sidewalk from my house.
Mr. Martinez, let's just,
Okay.
kind of take it down
I'm
just
sorry.
a
I do
notch.
get passionate.
Please, I know you do.
I do
but
get passionate.
Both of y'all are loud, okay? And so
okay.
it's like this. And, just both of y'all, calm it down.
I was walking down the sidewalk, daydreaming, just thinking, just walking down the sidewalk to see this car or this truck.
Just point of order. That's not what I asked. I'm asking about the particular incident when you were violently placed on the ground.
Then would you please re-ask your question?
All right. In your statement, you said you were violently forced to the ground.
That is correct.
In the video that we watched twice here during the hearing, we did not see violently placed to the ground.
You're right, because Officer Bell had his gun in front of his body camera, so you couldn't see it. Now, what is really, really strange, and I just sent an email to Sandra, where is Officer Breton's video? In the videos that I received a year and a half ago, we just noticed, I really paid attention preparing for this, that there's two videos that are duplicated, and then a third video. So I have two of the same video and then another video. I am missing the video from Officer Breton. So I don't know if it accidentally didn't get included in my packet. And I sent Sandra an email today. She got confused, I guess, when I made a request, a week ago. And she said there was no, for Officer Breton's body camera, and she said he didn't have one, and she was referring to the first night of this hearing. So I sent her an email today requesting the one from a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago. Or it's been, this year, it's over a little more than 2 years now.
After this incident, did you have a meeting with the chief about this incident?
No, I had a meeting with Lieutenant, I believe it's Anderson and Gonzalez.
And what did you discuss there?
The whole incident. In fact, I gave him the packet that was included in your packet on this allegation, and it's basically the same packet that I showed tonight is what is exactly the same information that I provided to the police department.
Did you feel that the three of you came to a resolution?
We didn't.
And an understanding?
We didn't come to a resolution so much as it was just stated, listening to Bell's audio or his video only. It did not show him stomping me to the ground, and I still maintain that when he stomped me to the ground, he made some kind of a outburst when I order you to the ground or something, you know, I mean it, and then boom. We did not hear that in Bell's recording, and I questioned that.
So is this an instant or something that you still are pursuing, that you don't feel is resolved?
My wife wanted me to file a lawsuit against the city for police brutality, and I talked her out of doing that. In fact, the police chief told me that everything was done wrong in this situation, and he was going to use the videos as a training video to show his police department what not to do. With that, I agreed to not pursue anything. Now, stop and think. Later, he contacted the criminal district attorney's office to try to have them look at the videos to see if he could charge me with a crime.
So as far as you're concerned, this issue is not solved, right?
I sue the city?
No, as far as you're concerned, the incident and the things that happened there, it's still not resolved to your satisfaction. Is that correct?
I have agreed to accept what happened. I have not sued the city. I should have. My wife was adamant that I do, and she was trying to talk me into it, but I just felt, being on city council, it wouldn't be proper for me to sue the city, and I didn't. Now the 2 years has expired, the statute of limitations has expired, so I cannot sue the city on this matter. So yes, it is, in that context, it's over.
All right, thank you. The next question has to do with the aquarium, and I don't have the statement before me now, but you did state we should not make them follow the codes because they were grandfathered.
Again, you weren't listening when I was talking earlier. Our building codes are set up where a business can be, or a building could be, when they, let's say if they were established 20 years ago, those building codes remain active for that establishment. Now, if that establishment was going to do a lot of improvements, then the city can come and say, hey, we need you to bring up all these other things to conform to current city law or ordinances. That is what I meant. As long as the parking lot was not being changed or anything, then the city should not require them to put in islands and plant more trees. That is all I mentioned, just in that context. Now, if the Cavinos were in discussion with the city and they agreed, that's a different story. But now we're talking of a different animal. But I still maintain, as long as they kept the parking lot and they weren't doing any major renovation, changing the outside, then they should be able to continue with what they had.
Well, when you're intervening in these types of issues, at what point do you know that the business owner has agreed to do what the city wants them to do?
I was not intervening in anything. I was making a statement.
No, but when you're involved in these issues with a business owner, at what point do you realize that maybe the business owner has agreed to do what the city is asking?
The only way I find that out is if it comes before us at a city council meeting. Or either that or the city manager or provides us with an email in reference to this fact. Other than that, I wouldn't have any way of knowing it. I don't know the Cavinos. I haven't even been in their establishment in probably 3 years. I know when they first opened, they gave all of us a 1-year pass to the facility, and my wife and I went to it, I believe, one time, and it could have been 2 times, but other than that, I haven't been in that place at all.
But you consider it a destination?
Wouldn't you?
I've never been there.
Then you should. That should be our prized possession. You know, we complain all the time that Leon Valley is a pass-through community. People just drive down Bandera to get to Gilbo and, past the city. We have a destination. Shouldn't we do everything we can to help them, to build it bigger, to have them advertise on TV and whatever? Hey, come to Leon Valley. Look at our treasure.
I have one more question. It was your email to Kelly Kinsler after your meeting with Nina in Community Development.
Okay.
And she responded that you did not provide all the information. She said, yes, that she had already heard that you'd been there and what you spoke about, but you did not provide all the information.
I provided my interpretation of the event. I did not know what they provided. I only provided my recollection of the events that transpired.
So you were not provided Ms. Nixon's email?
Yes, but to me, I had already responded to Kelly, and she just sent me a follow-up email, and I never responded to it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, yes, we're going to recess then. All right. So at approximately 7 minutes after 10 o'clock, if there's no objection, we move to recess tonight, and we will reconvene tomorrow, which is Friday, August the 9th at 5:30 here in this chamber. Thank you all very much for being here this evening, and drive safely home.